Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Sunday Night Reef Talk live stream, where today I am joined by Ryan from Prestige Reef. Ryan, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you? I know. I already know.
You know how I am.
Yes.
We need to get some. I need to get some confessions out of the way straight off the bat for this one. So I I don't drink very much at all. I don't drink very often. I've got a bit of an echo actually. Are you getting that?
No.
Guys in the chat, are you getting a bit of an echo? Let me know. Anyway, so I don't drink very often, and I don't drink very much. Certainly not like I used to when I was a student. And I had 4 drinks last night. Went to see my neighbours, and I've 4, which is pathetic.
Yeah.
And I've been hungover the entire day. So I've got my little support glass of water, and Ryan actually. So
I've got my emotional support glass of wine for you.
Exactly. And you, no echo, people are saying good. And you, so I thought you were going to be worse because you had your booster jab yesterday, right?
Yes. So I'm going to Spain, and I didn't realize until a couple of days ago that if you want to go to Spain, you have to be double vaccinated and have the booster. Now, the booster came out when I was in America, so I just never got it. And let's put it like you saw. Well, Alex saw the picture of what I looked like. I thought I was dying the next day. Let's put it that way.
I feel like if the
picture up on screen,
boot was on the other foot, that's the sort of photo you would share with the good people of the internet. So I feel like I'm just going to scroll down just for a second. Here we go.
I don't care if you share it anyway.
It's
blurry. You can't see it. It's
Come
really
on,
blurry.
focus.
No,
that's it anyway. Basically, why isn't that focusing? That's really, really frustrating. Anyway, but yeah. So 4 drinks, what a disgrace. Yeah,
that is so true. That with regards to when you said that this is the sort of photo that you would show of me, that's definitely what I think.
It's exactly what you do. But we do have some, and hello everybody in the chat. I've seen plenty of people joining, lots of usual faces, which is great to see. And grab a beer is the advice from Les. What's that? Just getting drunk again. Yeah, best way to avoid a hangover is to stay drunk. So
true.
But that's not going to happen because I can't be like this tomorrow. I'm surprised. An all-day hangover is a lot for 4 beers. Like I might expect normally, well, it wasn't even 4 beers, but I might expect a little bit of a headache in the morning that goes after like 11. Anyway,
you're getting old.
So
like an old man now.
This is very true. But anyway, energy. Yeah, let's go. Right. Member questions. Right. We got 3 member questions, Ryan.
Okay.
Oh God, I'm really tired after that burst of it. Tired after that burst of energy. Right. So
if I'd known you were going to be this bad, I would have bought an air horn and just every so often off camera, just put it into it. Anyway, member questions. Sorry, I've distracted you.
What kind person you are. Why does no one get sympathy? I don't get it. Like if you're ill, people are like, "Oh God, you okay? Oh, I'm really
because you did it to yourself.
Anything I can do. It doesn't matter. I'm still ill. I'm unwell. I should probably be in hospital or something. Anyway, no one gets sympathy when they're hungover. I don't get it. Right, first question is from Bubbly Reef from France, I believe, if I remember rightly. Hi boys, Refugium. I have Cheeto, a flow pump, 2 Refugium lights. What Refugium lights are they? How long do you leave the lights on? Pump ? You've never run a Refugium?
I've never had a Refugium, which is why I was about to say I don't like to give out advice if I genuinely don't know the answer. So I'm not going to. I can take a guess. Let's see if I'm right. I'm going to say it's probably 12 hours, 8 to 12 hours. I think it's probably more like 12. I don't actually know, but you have one, so I assume you know.
I have run a Refugium on every tank I've ever had, except for the Fluval Evo, which actually I'm going to be running a Refugium on, thinking about it. Although I don't currently have a Refugium on my water box because, in fact, do you know what? I did a clever thing the other day that I've forgotten about, and it means that I can share a camera. And so when I say, "Hey, this is my water box," I can do this. Oh no, it's not bloody working now. Add to stream. Here we go. Way.
Oh, look how fancy that is.
But actually, I forgot to set it up, so now I'm just holding it, and it's all.
You were almost professional, almost.
I even put a little bit. I got some orange gel filter, if 85B gel filter, and I put it over there. Anyway, I'm digressing. Go on,
I was
sorry.
gonna say I've got those on the security cameras in the coral room. I've put the orange filter over them.
Oh,
so I can
really?
see.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious. Oh, yeah, Tunsy. So you took my recommendation. They're so good, those little ones. So, well, you got 2 of them. I've got 3 of those on my Peninsula 500. So, I don't know, 400, 450 litres, something like that. And short answer is 12 hours. Just run it. So when your main lights turn off at 10:30, say at night, that's when your Refugium lights turn on. And when they turn off when your main lights turn on in the morning at 10:30, you turn your Refugium lights off. However, I started playing around a little bit with. That's the simple answer. And if you just want to start it and do that, just do that. It's fine. And
There's no reason, isn't there, for that?
So it's yeah. So I should explain things, and which is the whole point. Oh, I need to come back and explain what this video is not, by the way. So in fact, I'll do that now. So why is that white balance gone funny? There we go. So this video, I think most people will realize that this is not going to be a video with me and Ryan slagging off YouTubers and saying BRS don't know what they're doing.
I'm going to slag off you.
So. Well, we can slag off each other. That's fine. But that's not what this is about. This video is about when YouTubers say, because it came up from last week, and I will come back onto your question and finish the Refugium bit, but it came up from last week. So we were talking about feeding, and Ryan asked me how much I feed per day, and I said 6 cubes of frozen on my main tank, and you said that's a lot, and I said it's not that much. And actually, there's a lot more context to that, and I'll explain what I mean by why that's not a lot and all this sort of stuff. And there's a lot more to it than just to throw away 6 cubes. But I saw a post on Ultimate Reef straight after saying, bloody hell, I've just seen on Reef Talk he feeds 6 cubes. I must be underfeeding. What do you guys feed? And loads of people were, and I bet there are other people who thought, 6 cubes, Christ, I only feed 1. And you had a consultation as well, didn't you?
Yes, that's
the
correct.
Same thing came up.
Yes, yeah, exactly the same thing. The person who had the consultation call with me had an issue with nitrate and phosphate being really, really high. And he couldn't work out why. So we went through his nitrate reduction, phosphate reduction technique. There's a possibility that he might actually be in the chat today. And then we got onto feeding, because obviously if you've got high nitrate and phosphate, it has to come from somewhere. It doesn't just materialize in the tank, which means we have to be adding it. And when I found out how much he was feeding, I thought it was a lot. And he went, well, Reef Talk feeds 6 cubes, as if to go, exactly. Well, if Reef Talk says it, it's fine.
And that is what this is about.
Yes, but there's a very big difference between the tank of the person I was talking to, which didn't have, and I did explain this to him, it didn't have a huge amount of fish in it, and it didn't have a huge amount of coral in it either. Whereas Reef Talk's corals absorb a lot of the, and obviously your Refugium as well, will be absorbing a lot of the nutrients from those 6 cubes. So,
exactly. So there's a few things then to say, because just saying, 6 cubes, it's not that much. When I say it's not that much, there are plenty of people with bigger tanks, more established tanks, more fish, all this sort of stuff that feed really heavy, and they love the high in, high out. I like high in, high out, but when I say 6 cubes, it's not that much. I don't mean, God, if you're feeding less than that, you're in trouble. Your fish are going to die and your corals are going to waste away. So that's the first thing. But also, I currently feed 6 cubes a day, and I have been for the last month or 2. No, probably longer than that, actually, because my fox face has been looking thin for ages. So I've been trying to do things for probably 6 months. I've been trying to do things to fatten him up. One of which is increase my feeding of mysis. Also things like algae and nori and all this stuff, but it didn't work out. He died, unfortunately. But that was one thing. But also someone commented on, when did they comment? I can't remember. I had 2 people message me. One on YouTube about my copper band, saying you look thin, and then someone again recently on Instagram, and they're absolutely right. And so for the last, I don't know, month or so, I've been since the foxface died, I've kept my feeding at an elevated level to try to get the and I've tried all sorts of different food. I threw in 10 cubes yesterday to try to get the copper band eating again, and he is. And I'm going to be feeding more. So when I say that 6 cubes of frozen, that's not that much. Actually, it's quite a lot in the full context. And I don't normally, until recently, I was feeding 4 a day, and even that, for I think I've got 16 fish, even that is actually quite a lot. But the reason I do it is because I often say that I don't feed corals because I I don't see the point of feeding corals. If you don't feed your fish very much at all, adding coral food is a much better idea than if you feed an absolute ton of food for your fish, because then all you're doing is polluting the water by adding coral food as well. But for the most part, but I try to do high in, high out, so heavy in with food and heavy export. I've got the export 80% to where I want it, but it needs to be higher. And I run a Refugium that I actually run for longer than 12 hours, and I'll come back to that. I've got a skimmer that's very, very efficient. I've got a filter roller. I've got a million corals that, like you said, will pull out nitrate and phosphate, all sorts of things as well. I've got a few small bits of Cyprax, not a lot. What else have I got? Oh, I dose Bactobalance as well. So I've got a lot of filtration going on. And that's why I feed quite a lot and I can get away with it. But I say I can get away with it despite all of that filtration, all of the corals, all of the skimmer, the roller mat, all that stuff. My phosphate is still 0.3
very high,
or above. So in the context of watching a YouTuber, because I do this all the time as well when I'm watching other videos, you'll pick up on one thing and you'll be like, oh right, God, I need to think about that then. And that was just like, now you've had the full 5-minute explanation.
We're done. Bye-bye.
Exactly, yeah. But then the trouble with, so you and me, we make videos of a similar length, less than 10 minutes for the most part.
Yeah.
5 or 6 minutes is kind of the sweet spot, I
Yeah.
reckon. And that means, so I could, if I'm going to make a video about what I feed my fish, I could talk for 5 minutes about why I feed those 6 cubes a day.
Yeah.
And then I'd have to talk for another hour about all the other things. So you just can't cover everything at all in anything like the detail you need to in normal videos. So and that's what the whole point of this video, this topic is tonight. Don't listen to YouTubers. It doesn't mean that YouTubers are giving bad advice. I'm not going down that road. What I'm saying though is, if you hear something a YouTuber says, even if they've got a fantastic tank and you like their advice, you think they know what they're doing, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can just go, right, I'm going to take that one thing and I'm going to apply it to my tank. Because even with the feeding, there's 1,000 other things that tie into that. And like, a classic example is temperature. Sometimes you'll see people say, do you know what, I run my temperature high because it makes my corals grow faster. And or people will run lights higher. But what you don't hear, because they're not thinking of going into the full detail and explaining everything, is not only do they run high lights, but they also run very high nutrients as a result.
And alkalinity.
And they might run it. Yeah, exactly. And they might run a short photo period, all these sorts of things. So that's what I'm talking about, is when you hear this one little snippet that you think, oh, right, I should do that. And you change it. And then there's 100 things that person's doing to their tank. And you just pull one of them out and then you apply it to your tank. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work.
I think also it's in context as well. Well, I know this is basically what you were saying, but when I make a video based around what I know, if you see what I mean. So it's like, you would never have thought that it would be controversial for you to say that you fed 6 cubes. It's impossible for us to think about everything. So the fact that you said, like in an offhand comment, that I feed 6 cubes, and all of a sudden it's become this thing. Don't eat that ice. You learned what happened last time. It's impossible to look at every single scenario. Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure.
There was
and that's the thing. If you're having a two-way conversation like you do with your consultations that you can buy on prestigereef.co.uk, you can have a back and forth. And people often ask me questions either on this live stream or on Instagram or whatever. And like, if it's a detailed question, I'll often go, oh God, and the reason I'm doing this is because in my head I'm thinking, I want to talk to you. I can't just say, if someone will post a message saying my nitrates are 5, is that too much? It's like, I've got a million questions. And so you can't, on a live stream, live stream are better than normal videos, but anything on YouTube, you can't have a proper conversation. Like, you take over an hour to go through things and then you get to the bottom of things. And that's, so basically YouTube has a limitation in that and it's natural to try to pick up these little snippets and think, right, they said that, they've got a wicked tank, I'm going to do that because I want my tank to look like theirs.
I don't.
And it's even this.
Oh, sorry.
Go on.
I was going to say, I don't think it's just us though either, Because do you remember when you you sent me a picture of that the forum where they were discussing this, and the first thing I said, I can't remember what it was, but exactly, there was something along the lines of, isn't like, so the person was asking how many cubes that they were feeding, but the reality is that information is almost irrelevant unless you know all the other information that goes with it. So if people are going, oh yeah, I feed 2 cubes, I feed 6 cubes, but there's no, it doesn't tell you the size of the tank, you don't know how many fish, you don't know how many corals. So some
cubes
people
of what?
Yeah. So some people will be watching that, going, or what, reading the forum, going, oh, look at all this food that everyone's feeding, and they've just got a nano tank with a clownfish, and all of a sudden they're feeding 4 cubes because that was the average that everyone took. So it's like, as I said to you, if Polo's Reef went on there and said, oh yeah, I feed 10 kilos a day, but put no context behind it at all, the information is irrelevant.
10 kilos in that.
Yeah, well, exactly. I noticed. When you said you've got all your tanks have got refugiums, except your water box, the one behind you, the
Lego tank
one,
hasn't got a refugium,
the jellyfish one, and
jellyfish.
yeah, and the what is it? The Lego one.
Yeah. This one.
When you went into the shop, were you like, oh yeah, I'm buying this for myself?
No, my missus works for Lego, so she gets a discount. Yeah,
that'd be well exciting. I think it'll be exciting.
Not really. It's cool for like, if anyone's got kids, like our friends or whatever, and you tell them that she works for Lego, they're like, "Can you get a discount?"
Well, you saw how excited I was. I mean, I don't.
Well, exactly.
I don't play with Lego, but I just thought that would be a cool place to.
Indeed.
Yeah, I imagine their head office is full of Lego.
Probably, yeah. But she works in marketing, so.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, what was I going to say? So, I'll come back to we'll come back onto this and have a proper chat about the rest of the stream as well. But coming back onto the question of the refugium. So, simple answer: 12 hours overnight, and the reason for that, which is what Ryan is asking, is because your pH drops. So during the day, your corals, assuming you've got corals, will be photosynthesizing and taking CO2 out of the water. So your pH increases because CO2 going down means pH going up. At night, when the lights go off, corals don't photosynthesize, and the fish are breathing out CO2. So there's there's nothing to uptake the CO2. So your pH drops, and that means that you get a really sharp diurnal swing. So it's really high and then really low. So the point of running a refugium overnight is to even that out. So you've got something doing a bit of photosynthesis to pull out the CO2. It doesn't have, unless you've got an enormous one, you're not going to get anywhere near the levels of photosynthesis as you do from your corals. But that the other thing, and this is why I say 12 hours isn't necessarily the end of it, is because I've been messing around with kalkwasser.
Is this where I'm meant to be filling?
No. I've been messing around with kalkwasser. I think it's a snail stuck on a power head or something. I've been messing around with kalkwasser and trying to level off my pH. And there are ways you can make the pH spike much, much flatter, which is really good. But one of the things I noticed when I started monitoring it really closely with a pH probe and all this sort of stuff is that the second, if your lights are on 100% intensity until 8 p.m., and then they dim to 90% intensity at 8:30, and then dim and dim and dim and dim. The second they drop down from 100%, your pH starts to drop.
It's interesting.
It's surprising how quickly it doesn't mess around. It's like instantly it drops. So what I now do is I have an overlap. So for the last, I don't even know what it is. I think I probably run it for about 14 hours overnight. So for the last hour that my main lights are on, my refugium lights are on as well. And then in the morning, because the ramp up is quite slow in the morning, relatively slow, 3 hours, I think. 3 hours? Yeah, 3 hours. I have the refugium on for longer in the morning. I don't know, till midday, something like that. So 14 or 15 hours in total to balance that out. Whether this makes a huge difference is another matter altogether. But every little helps is a rationale. So it's not like if you're running a refugium and you're doing it 12 hours, oh my God, you're doing it wrong. It's just like micro gains, or whatever. What's it? What Team Sky used to talk about it?
There's something about
Marginal gains.
can't one of the algae turn sexual as well, and then where it turns it's something to do with light and the algae and which type of algae. Yeah, is that what it is? I see. I don't know.
So I've never used Calliope for that reason. Everyone, just Kato is just good. It does everything you need it to. It grows fast. It pulls out nutrients. It keeps it stores you. It's got a place for you with copepods to live and all that sort of stuff. But why use anything else? But if you use Calliope, and I think there are a few different types of Calliope, but if you use Calliope, it can go sexual if you don't light it 24 hours a day. So you have to light it 24 hours a day.
Well, that there is a perfect example.
And the point of sexual, by the way, it's a fun word to say, but the point of that is if it goes sexual, it goes everywhere and it'll end up in your display tank. And you
really? I thought it turns white and kills everything, but
or maybe it does that as well. To be fair, this is all stuff I've read probably 6 years ago when I researched it. So,
well, what I was going to say, so you're now talking about Refugium, and this outline. I'll fill for a while. This outlines this outlines what this talk is about, because you've just told us everything roughly that you know about Refugiums, not everything, but you missed off one of the vital parts about what type of algae to use.
So didn't even think about it.
So because it doesn't relate to you. So how can you give information based on what you don't do?
It's not just that. And this is the one thing this is the most difficult thing about making beginner-friendly content is I'll make a video and I'll be like, right, so I think I'm explaining it in really simple terms. And then I'll get comments saying, hang on a second, does it matter if the container is black or white?
Yeah.
And those are the questions. It's the sort of thing that some people will look at and say, well, that's a stupid question. But it's the sort of things that when you're new and you don't know anything and it's another world, you think, right, I need to make sure I'm doing everything right. I don't want to get anything wrong.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult. And I've been there, of course. I was doing the exact same thing, asking questions that probably in hindsight, a bit stupid, but it's because you don't know what's what. You don't have any sense of how to work things out for yourself at first. So going back, putting yourself back into that mindset of how did I think, what questions did I have when I was setting up is really difficult, because we've got a certain level of knowledge whereby winding it back to you just gloss over the basics. So the Kato is a perfect example. It wouldn't have even crossed my mind to say, oh yeah, by the way, use Kato, don't use the other one, but Calliope, because everyone uses Kato, I think. But if you start Googling Refugiums, I bet you'll see 20% of people saying, oh yeah, use Calliope, it's great, which it might be.
But it gets dangerous when they set it up the way you've described it, but they used the wrong algae. So that's where that's actually where this this came from, isn't it? Because I sent you a message saying we're dangerous.
exactly right. Yeah.
So look, don't get me wrong, we try our best. Well, I know you definitely try your best. My videos are obviously slightly less edited these days, but it literally is impossible, as far I believe, to get everything. So,
because even with the calc video I did last week, so that was 12 minutes, which for me is a lifetime, and it took me 2 weeks. I almost didn't get it out this week. I was working on it till 10 o'clock on Thursday night.
Yeah,
I was like, bloody hell. Anyway, even with that, I spent ages working on the script and the bullet points of stuff I wanted to say, and I kept going back saying, do I need to say this? Because I said I started by saying how you dose it. Well, you mix it up with water, and then it's you dose it to your tank. And I found myself thinking, dose it to your tank. If you've not had corals before, what the fuck does dose it to your tank mean? Does that mean you pour it in? Does it?
Bet the powder and pour it in like what I did.
No, don't put powder in. But that's it. Obviously, I'd said you need to mix up. But it's like if I say dose it to your tank, I'm thinking that I'm talking to someone who's tried dosing before and knows these things, which is probably. And the other thing with these videos is you're trying to cover all audiences. So I'm trying to explain things. So for the first 3 or 4 minutes of that video, I explained what Kalkwasser is. There'll be loads of people who know full well what Kalkwasser is. They're clicking on it because it says how to dose it. And they'll be like, I know what dosing pump is, but I've got to try to strike that balance of explaining everything. And it's so difficult. I spent so much time looking at that, looking at the script, thinking, do I need to say that, or should I say more, or should I say less? And it's
Well,
like,
if you think about it, it's like you literally just said, if you mention a dosing pump, if people didn't know what a dosing pump is, what is a dosing
why
pump?
would you? Why would you
Exactly,
know
I
what it
know.
is?
Exactly. I remember. I remember I was in a shop, but I couldn't remember what it was. I think it was either a protein skimmer or a UV sterilizer, and it was at the very beginning. And I described it to the people what I was trying to say, and I think I was getting them the wrong way round or something. I was getting the two things. So that's how basic my knowledge was when I first started educating myself and going to buy stuff. And I'm pretty sure. I think it was a UV sterilizer. I was like, yeah, it runs off the back of your tank. I was like, but I was describing a hang off the back protein skimmer.
Right. Okay.
Because I used to have a Deltec hang on the back protein skimmer, which they were pretty good, those Deltec ones when they first came out. So that was my
I really like my Deltec. But yeah, and that even like when I set out, I was trying to work out what a return pump is. I was like, return pump, what's it returning? And it's because it returns water to your tank from your sump.
Yeah.
But even that, you're like, so hang on, a return pump and a power head. What's a power head? Is that the same as a wave maker? Because it looks. I googled them both, and they're both different. And it's like, so this is the whole point. And Shell Smuck, the resident comedy commentator,
I know, I saw.
joined late and said, what YouTuber gives out some of the worst advice? And that's not what this is about. The point is, well, yeah, you.
Yeah, because my advice is listen to Reef Talk. So what can I say?
But the other thing, and this, so you and I have a similar modus operandi. That's a similar way of working. So
you dumb that down for the dumb person.
So a similar way of working. So basically, you and I, we don't want to say, oh, well, for the most part, sometimes I do this, but we don't want to say, this is how you must do this. We want to say, look, have a think about this. We try to get people thinking and just think about something a little bit differently to the way you might have done. So a lot of my videos, I'm not trying to say this is the only way to do it. I'm trying to say, have a think about this. And whilst you're doing your research and you're watching another 30 videos and reading articles and talking to people, just have a think about this. And then when you go and talk to someone, talk to them and say, Reef Talk said I should do 15 hours on my Refugium overnight. Is that right? Because that feels like I might start pulling out too many nutrients. And then the conversation would be, oh yeah, well, if you've only got nitrates of 2 parts per million, you don't want to be running a Refugium that long.
No,
and that's where so even that, so 10 minutes talking about Refugium and I still didn't cover off another basic point. And the other thing is, you've got to ask yourself every time you watch a YouTube video, what am I trying to achieve when I'm making a change? Because if it's just Prestige Reef said he doesn't like Refugiums, so I'm not going to use them, so I'm going to take my Refugium off. Well,
I didn't
but
say
why
that.
you no, I know.
No.
But why are you doing that? What? So, and if I say I'm feeding 6 cubes of frozen a day, and you say I'm going to increase it, then why are you doing that? Is it because you think it will make your tank look like mine does? So why are you actually doing it? Is it because your fish are too thin? You want to feed your corals more? There's got to be a why to everything, any change that you make. And it's hard to think like that, especially when you're new, but that's what you've got to do.
See, I've just realized from the video I put out today, I mentioned MP40s, Radions, like the Vectra. I mentioned the GHL or the dosing pump, and I just think if someone watched that, I know what they are, and I assume that everyone else knows what they are. But the reality is they don't. And so, what is an MP40 to like the average person? So it's
no idea exactly. That's it. And this is the other thing. Even when you do, so you didn't necessarily give any thought to that. You just talk because that's what you're talking. You're probably talking to a certain level of people, but that's just how you talk. Even when I do give thought to it though, because I say I use the EK in that calc video. I was like, I use the EK Tech Versa, and it's like, well, I was thinking, do I need to say this is what a dosing pump is and this how it works? Or is that just going to get in the way? Because you don't want, if you can explain everything in minute detail, for a start, the video is going to be really long, but it's going to be boring.
Yeah.
And if you've got like, there's a certain limit. Like if you know what, if you know how calc works and you just want to know how to dose it, you'll put up with a couple of minutes of being told why you might want to use it. And it might be a refresher. So you'll put up with that, but you won't put up with 5 or 6 minutes of, oh, and by the way, this is what a dosing pump is. And this is how it works and all that. So there's got to be a limit. So even when you do think about what you're saying, you just can't answer. You can't.
No.
You can't cover everybody.
Yeah. I also remember going to a shop and I was asking for a Soho tang, and I was like, "Have you got any shoal tanks?" Because obviously it's how it's spelled.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were like, "What the hell's a shoal tang?"
Shoaling tang. What do you want? 5? Like,
So yeah, it's funny when you look back at the things when you were younger, not younger, but earlier in the I suppose you were younger.
What do you? Yeah. MP40 is a bad gun in Call of Duty.
See, there you go. Everyone's watching my videos, going, "What is he talking about?"
Yeah, I've googled MP40 before, and it comes up with all sorts of random stuff.
Every so often, I ask the comment section to tell me the stupid stuff, like a question, or I ask to see your answers. And I've just told you some of the stupid stuff that I did when I first started. That was really, really stupid, like describing a protein skimmer, but thinking it was a UV sterilizer. So what things have you done, basically? Because I quite enjoy your input.
Yeah, and he's talking to you guys, not me, by the way.
Oh, I already know all the stupid stuff you've done.
I know, yeah. There's a couple of other member comments as well that I'll come back to in a sec. But so Shellsmuck2 says, honestly, I think newbie channels are essential because you can't get complacent and not revisit the basics and relearn them. So it's always worth relearning things.
Yeah, true.
But this is in particular. So I really like, I say all the time, but say it probably too much, you probably get bored of it, that Matthew from My First Fish Tank, who's now on Bulk Reef Supply, the BRS2 channel. Yeah. I just find his videos, I like the way they're put together. But one thing he does just because he only does beginner content, he explains things in the really basic way that you and I don't think. So we'd say, oh yeah, I just use MP40s. And he would say, what you want to use is a pump with a little propeller that blows water around. These ones are called MP. So there are channels that do that sort of thing. I try to a point, but that for the most basic starter level, you can't beat Matthew.
There you go. Stop listening to us. Listen to Matthew instead.
Exactly. And the Bubbly Reef says, sounds like people need to add a little common sense too. But so I don't think I'm short of common sense, but I've gone through, when I started this hobby, I've go through the exact same thing. And it's hard to apply common sense if you don't. So it's common sense in reefing. And that feels different. So how do you know what common sense is if you don't know the subject area at all?
Yeah.
Because you're absolutely right. You do need to apply common sense, but it's very difficult. Very difficult.
Yeah, I agree. I will let you continue. There's a few things I've actually been, when I'm doing this, I'm writing stuff down and things you said. Because there's some things like you mentioned about your cov band, stuff like that, but you want to do the member questions first, I know.
I've got some ice cubes again.
Okay, so while you're chewing your ice cubes, I wanted to ask you about your copper band.
Because, thank you, Ryan.
Because I wanted to know.
I'll tell you what, before we go to the copper band.
Yeah.
Cheers. I'll do finish off the member question. So the other one was, and I'm doing these in order they came in. So there's 2 more. Ryan has kind of ruined my question with his latest video. Well done, Ryan. And this is from James, by the way, who bought some Utter Chaos off you a couple weeks ago. But I'll ask it anyway. Do you spend much time
looking at chaos?
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah. Do you spend much time at looking at your tanks at night? And what are the biggest stocking risks you've taken that have paid off, and any that didn't pay off?
I spend hardly any time in there at all at night.
Yeah.
So when I was I filmed a video. The one I just put up was filmed at midnight, between midnight and 1 a.m. And basically, I turned the lights on, and I was honest when I said it. I have no idea what I was about to see. I've seen the fish tank at night before, but it was just interesting to see because I just never ever go in there at night. Yeah. And with regards to the stocking choice, which has paid off, I love my powder blue tang, but I only got that from someone else, so the risk wasn't really there. Okay. I love my box fish as well. To be fair, I've had some really, really great fish that other people struggled to keep. I had, which obviously the box fish got sucked into a powerhead eventually. It was a prototype powerhead.
Which I remember you said.
Yeah, and so I'd say my box fish, because I had that for about 4 years, or maybe even longer than that. That was pretty good going, and obviously I have quite reasonably good luck with copper bands as well.
Anything that didn't pay off?
I've had some deaths where they really shouldn't have died. I had a Regal Angel, which I had for years, and I put it in the coral farm, and for whatever reason, jumped out the tank. It was in a deep tank, so it actually jumped over the tank into another tank first. So I was like, "How did you get in there?" and then so I left it in there. And then the next day, it was on the floor. I have no idea why. It was just that didn't pay off. I've had
you wouldn't think a regal angel would jump either.
No, you wouldn't, and that's why. And it was a big one, so it was as big as a surprise to me as it is to everyone else, basically. I've had a few fish which are not reef safe, which I've tried, which did not pay off. So I had 7 dwarf angelfish in a reef tank once.
In the same tank?
Same tank, 7 dwarf angel. It was amazing. With coral, I had a spawning pair of flame angels. I had 2 coral beauties, a lemon peel, and a bicolor,
Okay.
and and a golden angel.
Oh, they're cool fish.
And none of them ate coral until the the coral beauty did. One of the coral beauties did.
Oh, really?
Yes. And then after that, it was a free for all because fish actually learn from each other. And so
I can eat that. Wicked.
Yes, that is exactly what happened, and it really was like a free for all. So I had to get them all out, and one of the things I had to do was the flame angel. I caught the male flame angel, but I couldn't catch the female flame angel. Angelfish are really, really difficult to catch in a trap. So what I did is I got the male, I put it in a little tiny box and put it into the fish trap, and then the female immediately went in there to be with her mate, basically, and. I know it was because I thought, I wonder if this is because it wouldn't eat food. It wouldn't go in there to eat the food, but that did work. So my coral beauty was one of my biggest regrets because other than that, I had this most amazing reef tank full of coral and 7 angelfish. But
gutted. But because of all of those, I would have thought toss up with the flame angel, coral beauty. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Bicolor angel and lemon peel. You've got no chance. But actually, it was the safest ones that were the trouble.
They all came from other people's tanks in pairs. So, the bicolor and the lemon peel were a pair, and the coral beauty were a pair, and the flame angels. Flame angels used to spawn every single night. The male like pecks underneath the female, and then they go up to the tank. And I told someone who was at the time, remember, breeding fish was not a very common thing 10 years ago. And I told someone, and they went, "I don't believe you." So this was the guy at the fish shop. So I filmed it, and he came, and I think he came to see it, and then that pair of flame angels were purchased by a fish breeder in the UK.
Oh, so, cool.
Did you remember UK Bread? They used to breed clownfish, and it was a big. If you saw the video where I did 10,000 fish in one room or in one building,
I did. With Mindy, right?
Yes. well, those flame angels went to that company. So, but
I'm a prestige reef historian. I know all your videos. So
I don't, as you know, when you started talking about your Calquasa video a minute ago, for some reason I didn't watch the video, but I have seen the comments, and I don't know why I've seen the comments but not the video. Because
that's the worst thing to do for the algorithm. Because if you watch it for 10 seconds and then click off, it's going to think, "Oh, this is rubbish."
Well, that's what I do, but I do it for you. But I do it like 100 times.
Okay.
No, the reason I've seen the comments is because unless you sent it to me. Oh no, I know why. You sent me some comments about these, didn't you?
Yeah.
I was looking through your video to see if I could find which your comments that video was on, and obviously it wasn't going to be that one. But you obviously made this video all about Calquasa, and then someone went, "You missed this off." I was like, that is just classic comment section.
There were sort of 10 or 20 people saying, what about? And this is, so that video, 12 minutes long, it almost killed me. It took me 2 weeks to make it. It took ages, but more to the point, if I put in everything you need to know, it's because one person said, and absolutely right, one person said, you need to make sure the inlet of your dosing pump doesn't touch the bottom of the calc container, because then it'll pull up all the sludge that's settled out. Absolutely right. And I didn't mention that, but I'm going to mention it in my second video. And if I mentioned everything, that you need to know, it would have been half an hour long or longer. So, and even this other video, I'm terrified of doing now because I'm worried about how long it's going to be. Anyway, but But the point I'm making is you're going on holiday next week, so you can catch up on all my back catalogue of videos. So.
That's true. You're also going on holiday. So for everyone who watches the live streams, I'm assuming there's going to be no live stream next week.
Correct. Is it next week? Yes. So in fact, 2 weeks in a row. So I fly out on Sunday and I fly back on the following Sunday late, like as in like 10 o'clock at night. So I'm going to miss 2 in a row. So there will be no.
Not good. Who am I going to talk to on a Sunday evening?
I know. We'll talk to the girls behind you.
I'm going to be at a wedding, so in Spain.
There you go.
Because apparently, you just have weddings in other countries these days.
Yeah, I'll be up for that, to be honest. But anyway, so the member questions then. So do you spend much time looking at your tanks at night? I don't. I've done when I've tried to find out if I've got my peppermint shrimp are still alive, I go down there. But the trouble is, unless you've got a red light, as soon as you shine your phone torch on them, they all scutter away. But it's cool to see, but I'm not really that arsed about it, to be honest. What's the biggest stocking risk I've taken that's paid off? Copper band did clear out on my Aptasia, I guess, and that didn't pay off. Harlequin tusk just started eating everything it could fit in his mouth. Aptasia eating filefish is a coral eating filefish. Probably half a dozen others as well. And the final member question, and I'll catch up with the chat, and I will do so this time. Final member question. This is from Bubbly Reef again. I have a new fox face. He's terrified of me. Anytime I walk close to the Peninsula 500, he rushes and hides and seems terrified. All water parameters checked and good. He's the biggest fish in my tank. No aggressive fishes. Advice: distracting wallpaper. Naked ladies, maybe. There's an easy answer to this. What is it, Ryan?
I was reading the comment section. Can you repeat it briefly
basically,
for me?
Fox face is she's got a new fox face. It's a big fish. There's no aggressive fish in the tank, and it's terrified of her when she goes near to the tank. Fox face are surprisingly timid fish.
Yes.
Given how big they get, and they've got these big old venomous spines, so no one's going to mess with them. They look like the Arnold Schwarzenegger of the SeaWorld.
Yeah.
But they are absolute, total and utter wimps.
So
he'll get over it, but
that's true. It depends what other fish you have. So fish feel more confident with other fish around. So I'm not suggesting you get chromis, but with the coral farm, when I put a load of chromis in there because someone of their tank burst and they gave them to me, all of a sudden all the fish which had been hiding under the racks for months all of a sudden are now above the racks, and it's because they see the other fish and they're like, well, these little tiny fish, they're not scared, so there's obviously no predators around, so that can help. But again, I can't really answer your question because I don't know what size tank you have. I don't know what size. You could have a lionfish, so if you've got a lionfish, you can't have chromis, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, very true. But actually, the dither fish is a really good. We don't talk about dither fish in the saltwater hobby much. It's always freshwater, but it's a very good point. And I've on my fluval, I'm going to get a dither fish to encourage the others out a little bit. But that's a good point as well. But they are wimps, and especially at first. But there we go. So
fox face jumps out of the tank. If you go, it's fine with him. But if I go near it, jumps out. It's like that frightening.
Oh God. Yeah, they're just pathetic, aren't they? But they're awesome. So anyway, we're probably about an hour behind the chat, so I'm going to catch up. How are the Lego fish? So I'm going to go very dark while I change my aperture so you can see the fish. Where we go? There we go. So there's a yellow tang. Which side is it? There's a yellow tang. There's a Nemo, and there's a dory around there somewhere as well. But they're good.
It looks overstocked, that tank.
It's massively overstocked. In fact, I had to take out an extra fish because it was too busy.
There was one which was upside down. I swear, it's in the bottom left corner. I think it's that one. It looked like it was dead. It looked like it was dying on the bottom of the tank. These
are both hidden out of the way, so you can't see them. But it is heavily stocked, and I've had to take out a fish and a scuba diver. And why anyone thinks that this guy is going to be on a coral reef is beyond me. But
also it's a bit small compared to the rest of the fish.
Yeah, exactly. Factually inaccurate, but there we go. Simple. Make shorts to describe the equipment function. Yeah, but simple. So this is the solution to providing more detail on stuff. So make a short video. I don't like shorts, by the way. I just don't appeal to me. To describe the functions of certain pieces of equipment and refer to it in your 5-minute video. That is so much work. it's people often say, when are you going to make a video about like the calc video? People were pestering me for ages. When are you going to do your calc video? And it's like, I know it sounds like it's just a video, you know, you do them every week. What's the big whoop? Making videos takes ages, and making another, like if I were to do a video about everything, so what is a dosing pump? That video, I can't just turn my camera on and go, right, this is what a dosing pump is, it does that. You've got to think about it, because if you just turn it on and say that, you'll get some of the main points across, but you'll forget stuff. So you've got to think about it. You've got to edit it, and you can't just, it's just, that is what you're saying. I get it. It's not a bad idea, to be fair, if I had time, but that is a major undertaking and a lot more than it sounds. And if you're just going to turn the camera on and talk for 30 seconds, it's not going to be much use.
True.
But anyway, and Shellsmack is unsubscribing from Reef Talk due to his most recent tank, which presumably is
The Lego one,
one. Can we see the Fluval Evo? What with like the magic of my poxy little camera that I haven't set up properly? Well, the problem with that is that extra camera. Here we go. The camera, the Fluval Evo is turned off. So there it is. It's actually, to be fair, it's doing okay. There's I never see. I say it's doing okay. Do you know what? I'm not. Oh, in fact, I'm not sharing, am I?
No.
Add to stream. There we go. So there it is. The lights are turned off at the moment as well. But I'm not going to go into any detail on it, because I'm going to do an update on the Reef Talk Extra channel. But again, it's just time. It's even the Reef Talk Extra videos are much quicker for me, but they're still a burden when I've got other stuff on.
Especially as you've got another secret channel as well, haven't you?
Have I?
Yeah.
Oh,
you showed it to me last week.
Yeah. It's not a secret channel. It's just a rubbish channel. It's about motorbikes that no one really cares about. But yeah, so there we go. There's a comment here, as in you say. Oh, I see. Yeah, this is going back to the common sense. 6 cubes obviously depends on the size of your tank. Fine. So there we go. Camera is blurry on both sides. Yeah, it's deliberately. I'm going to tweak it so it's not quite so blurry, but it's deliberate, because it looks a bit more smooth. Anyway, R.I.P. Pablo. Yeah, poor Pablo.
Yeah.
He was a legend.
I'd probably still have him now.
Yeah.
It was even worse. You know how sometimes you find a fish and it's dead? Well, Pablo was still half alive when I found Pablo. So I did everything to try to get him to survive. And he was sort of like half swimming, because remember, as I said, he'd been sucked into a powerhead. But I was even hand feeding him. So I would get him like this and then try and put some pellets into his mouth. But there was nothing that was bringing him back, basically. He was just being forced.
Nice
just being force fed.
Yeah. It's not nice to have that when that happens, especially if it's a slow death. But
yeah.
We've got cover for the live stream, so we're all good.
Who's that?
Shellsmuck 2. And what about your tanks? Well, yeah. So I've got someone coming in to feed my tanks. I've just bought a Regal Angel, actually.
Yeah, I saw that.
He will need feeding. It's an awesome fish. It's so cool.
And it's not has it touched your acans yet?
Not yet. Although I've only got 2 tiny little acan colonies that don't grow because they get too much light.
Yeah.
So we can have them, to be honest. I was trying to get a captive bred one, and I reserved one last week, and when I turned up at the shop, it had died. So I've got a wild caught one instead. But he's eating fine at the moment, to be fair.
That's
and that's what I was concerned about, getting him eating, and he's not interested in flakes. And he didn't really go for brine at the shop, but I don't know if he was brine anyway. But he goes for mysis, so
that's good.
So there we go. Can we see the Fluval before you go on holiday? No chance, I'm afraid. Getting a video out this week is going to be difficult with holiday planning, that sort of stuff as well. So
you're not going to have one of those like those sad, I can get a video out this week videos, are you?
No, I'm not. No, there will be a video, but it just takes so long. If I was full time, you'd have had one by now. And the thing is, the trouble is, people are asking me these questions because I keep saying I'm going to do it, and then I don't do it. Yeah. So I need to manage expectations better. But there we go. And he's really going for it. Really wants the update. Sorry. It will happen soon. It's and there's stuff. There's stuff to tell you, so I can't just say, "Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it." But I think you should introduce yourself to the fox face, stranger danger.
That's because
This is the
that's the
timid
person
one,
who
I
had the
guess.
fox face, which was timid. They're
Yeah,
asking about that,
exactly.
yeah.
Okay. You might know this. How do you deal with bryopsis?
I think some fox faces eat it. I think.
Oh, really?
That's not certain. I've never had it myself, so I don't actually know. It's like you
Apparently
learn the
it's
things you have to deal with.
magnesium. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is exactly it.
and I know you can put some stuff on it and take it out, but I think it's really. I know it's really difficult to get rid of, but I do think that there's some sort of. It actually might be the rabbitfish that you have eats it. One of the rabbitfish. I don't think it's the yellow ones. The like the fox face lows. I think it's the scribbled ones, like one like you've got. I think that's eats
Yeah,
it.
okay. Rabbitfish is the answer to most problems in a tank. They're just brilliant. But
Yeah.
but apparently I've never done it. I've never had bryopsis, or if I have, maybe I had it on an old tank, but it didn't really go out of control. But I don't know. But apparently raising magnesium can help. But I don't know. I'd be a little bit careful.
Even that, it's like anecdotal evidence. It's just guessing, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, this is true. But people talking about holidays, going on holidays when you've got a reef tank. So this is a week I'm going away for, obviously, same as you, I think. And I've not been away for longer than a week since I've had a tank. To be fair, I've got a cat and I don't like leaving him for a long period of time anyway either. So before I had the tanks, I had the cat. But the longest I went away before I had a tank was 10 days. And I've not been, well, actually, no, you know what? I had the tank when I went away for 10 days. That's the longest I've ever been away from the tank, 10 days.
8 weeks is the longest I've ever been away.
Oh, yeah.
As in, so recently, well, obviously, it was 6 weeks I was away.
But you had people top it in, didn't you?
Yeah, they just came and fed the fish every day. But when I had my 1,000 litre tank, which was obviously at my parents' house, and the whole family were in Australia, that was 8 weeks. So you really can set your tanks up. Obviously, you have to spend more money to do it like this, but you can set your tanks up so they're really easy to run, so that you don't have to put a lot of effort in, and you also don't have to worry when you go away. Well, you still worry.
Yeah,
you just
you
don't
still
worry
do worry though.
as much.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were you, I would definitely worry, because some of the your tank for me, I'm looking at your tank, it almost always feels like it's just on the edge, and you're just so good at spinning those plates to keep everything correct. But then, as I've said this to you many times, you keep coral acro corals better than I can keep them, and I just think going away for a week, you know what it's like. It can
something's
be
bound to happen. A week, I don't mind. A week is fine. The chances of anything happening that causes such a problem that it would really bother me in a week, pretty slim. It would have to be something like a pump breaking or the seals going on the tank or something like that.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Like even if someone overfeeds my tank, you try overfeeding as much as you want. You know, it can take a lot, so that's fine. Or you can underfeed it. If I didn't feed the fish at all for a week, they'd be fine. That's
except your copper band.
I've left him without food for a week.
Is that why he's thin?
No, this was early days. Well, maybe, yeah. But and that's another thing that just say that kind of comment. Oh yeah, they'll be fine. It's not advisable.
No.
But it's
I wanted to ask you about your copper band, just because so it's still eating. Obviously, I have very good success with copper bands, and occasionally one of them will go off food, and then you can eventually get it, and they will lose weight. And I think what people often do when that happens, I'm not suggesting you do that, but they just go, well, so I'm fighting a losing battle here, but you're not. I'm not, this isn't directed towards you. It's I know that sometimes my cod bands get thinner, and sometimes you just have to feed them more, and they do put the weight back on. But I think people often give up with them.
Yeah, one of the things I did, so I was trying to vary the diet of my fish a little bit, because a couple of my fish, my yellow wrasse is, I think it's probably just because he's a bit old. It isn't that vibrant anymore.
I knew
when they're young, they look really vibrant. But more to the point, my silver belly wrasse looks really drab, and I think that's probably diet, because I've seen older silver bellies that look really vibrant and bright. So I've been trying to vary the diet just to see if I can change things and see if I introduce spirulina or whatever that will improve things. And when I did that, the one time I went to the shop, they didn't have mysis. So I didn't have any mysis for 2 weeks, and my copper band wouldn't eat anything else.
Yeah.
And I was chucking in a ton, and he was like, I want mysis. So now I've gone back to mysis.
Yeah.
And it was weird because even think like you get chopped prawn, same little freezer cubes, and he wasn't eating that. It's like, how different is that from mysis? It's all shrimp.
One of my cob bands will only eat a specific brand of mysis, and I'm not joking. There is definitely a difference in the quality of mysis depending on what you get, like which brand they are. Sometimes
That's
you get
the
all these
slabs,
like
isn't it?
all these mush. No. Sometimes so they're both cubes, but sometimes one of them's all mushy. It comes in like a black. I don't know what
Is it
brand.
RS mysis or PE mysis? I think you've
It's not
mentioned this
PE
before.
mysis. PE mysis has got whole pieces in, I believe. But I think I use instant. Is it instant? No, instant ocean or ocean something is the one I use.
Okay.
Can't remember. Ocean nutrition, I think.
Yeah,
But
Ocean Nutrition. Okay.
yeah, it comes in a purple mysis packet. But the black one, which is a different brand, which is I can't remember which one. The mysis is all mushed up. So there are a few whole pieces, but there's lots of like half pieces and mush. It will not eat those. It's just not interested, even though it's still mysis.
Yeah.
So my advice to people with cob bands is if it's not eating one thing, try a different brand. Because trust me, sometimes they're that picky.
So if you watch I can't remember which copper band video it was, but I showed how many different foods I tried, and it was something like there were 10 on the clip that I showed, and I've tried more as well. I also tried live food, all this sort of stuff. It was weirdly he ate at first he ate live bloodworm.
Yeah.
But I've tried again recently, and he's not interested. It's like, mate, help me out. But
is there a place that only the cob band can get the food?
So that's the next step. Not at the moment. To be fair, he doesn't have a problem competing. But I've just bought myself an algae magnet, one of those big floating ones.
Yeah.
And I've ordered as well from some bits of piping. So I'm going to stick the pipe to so it's like a closed thing. That you can take the lid off. I'll stick the pipe onto the algae magnet, drill holes in it so his beak can get in it, and then I'll move it to a place because that's what. So I looked at a tank from a guy called Abbas, and he did that with his copper band and fed mussels, maybe some other things as well, and it worked really well. So that's what I want to feed. I want to get him on mussels. So that's my next step. I've tried with a makeshift feeder, but he's too thick to do it. So
yeah. The other thing that you may or may not, this might not work for you depending on what fish you have. It works for me because the other fish can't get in because they're too big. I actually squirt the mysis into my Passillipora, so it goes right into the center of the Passillipora, and the Passillipora obviously holds onto it, and then the mysis and then the cob band goes in and just pulls them all out. So I don't know if you have, firstly, a coral that you could do that with. Secondly, if you'd want to, it's almost like tempting the cob band to eat the coral. but it does work.
I don't know if I probably could do that, to be fair, but I don't. He'll eat mysis. He eats normal frozen mysis.
Yeah, but if he eats it, and I'm talking about, he might get 3 or 4 pieces before all the other fish eat the rest of it. Whereas if you can get 20 pieces inside a coral, he can then eat at his leisure. Very
true. Yeah, maybe, but yeah, he doesn't eat with all the other stuff I was putting in. He was doing that thing where they suck it into the mouth and then they spit it out.
Yeah. Yes.
They taste it and it's like, no, that's not food. It's like, no, it is food. Trust me.
They are the bane of my existence. Copper bands.
Yeah. But yeah. But I don't know if he's doing all right. He's been like this for a little while. He's eating more now than he was a week ago even.
Yeah.
And when I get this feeder thing going, I'll probably set it up next week, but it takes a bit of time to learn, so it might take him until I get back from my holiday.
Yeah.
And it might be that he passes away while I go on holiday. But
I know he's an important fish to you. That's why I was trying to help. So.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And so the other thing, when you say like there are times when you just chuck in a load of food. That's what I've been trying to do, and I've been like, do you know what? If my phosphate goes up, I'll deal with it. And I've started using Ramphos as well.
And if obviously it does, sadly perish, I've got one here for you that eats trackies and acans, so you're welcome to it. You don't have those. So
no, this is very true. I've got. So this one ate my green acans when I put them in the tank, which was great because I hated them.
Oh, really?
I couldn't get them off the rock work. I tried, but they were proper established on. But he ate the green acans. When I bought the green acans, on the website, and it wasn't your website. This was years ago. It was they were called pink dragon acans. So they were quite a bright green, with these like shocking pink edges around the outside.
Yeah,
and I got it, and it was like you had to look really close, and it was faded, and it wasn't really pink, and then the pink disappeared completely. So I ended up hating them.
yeah,
I couldn't get them out, and then he weirdly, well, after I put him in, they disappeared.
Yeah,
and it was like, well, it must have been him. But I've got a couple of very small, as I said, red acan colonies, kind of rainbow red, and he's not interested. He's like, no, it's not green, mate.
Yeah, well, the one I have at the moment, it literally just decimated some of the acans. It just had a free for all because they got this little tiny mouth, so you can't imagine they'll be that damaging. And then all of a sudden, I noticed that a couple of my trackies had puncture marks in them. I was like, "What are you doing?" So,
favor.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah, it's funny. And someone mentioned that hydrogen peroxide kills bryopsis. But
that's what I was going to suggest.
The trouble with that is that will kill any algae, bacteria as well. But you can't. Well, some people dose it to their tanks. I think that's like dosing Vibrant to your tank, or because it's a real risk. Some people, I've seen it. I don't know in what circumstances, but the better way to do it is. So I've been using that recently. I've been experimenting with it. The better way to do it is to pull out whatever's covered in algae.
Yeah.
Soak it or paint hydrogen peroxide on, and then just leave it for a minute or two. And then it'll rinse it off or whatever before it goes back in your tank. But if you've got bryopsis on your main rockscape, it's not that easy to get the rock out.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Treating it that way isn't that that easy. Actually, there was one thing on the fluval I will say about the. I did have a very small patch of cyanobacteria for, I don't know, a couple of weeks, and it just started to go away. Did I do something? I think I started to feed more a little bit, but whatever. It just went away on its own. But I was going to try to treat that with hydrogen peroxide because apparently that works. But I couldn't. I would have had to drain the tank to about the bottom inch to get to it, so to spray some on. But anyway, but no, it's good stuff. Hydrogen peroxide. I'll do a video on that at some point.
That's hair dye, isn't it? Hydrogen peroxide. Is it hair dye?
I think it bleaches your hair, yeah. But there's all sorts of uses, and it's one of those things that most people don't know about in the hobby. And people in the know and use it and swear.
I would worry about using it just because it sounds deadly.
Yeah, and so that you've got to get. So the stuff I'm using is 3% hydrogen peroxide, which is what everyone says. And if you can get 100%, I think you can certainly get 20-odd%.
Yeah.
And if you're using that, you're in trouble.
Okay.
But yeah, it's so it's not to be messed with. But that's why I'm experimenting gently. So I normally just let my my algae eating fish clean my algae magnet because it gets algae on the stalk. Yeah. But I thought, do you know what? Let's take it out and dip it in some hydrogen peroxide and see if it gets rid of it. And it got rid of kind of 90% of it. Well, so which is actually a bad thing because it means my fish don't get the little cheap meal they usually get. But I just wanted to test, see what happened. But yeah, there we go. And people talking about getting anxiety, even leaving the reef. Yeah.
Imagine how I feel.
Yeah, well, it's a business with however many tens of thousands of pounds worth of corals you've got.
Yeah. So you get used to the anxiety, I think.
Yeah, I bet. Have you had dinos before?
Yeah, I think yeah. Basically everyone gets with them, don't they? At the beginning, they just sort of come and go away.
Nowadays, yeah. Didn't seem to be, but I think the best answer is there's a group on Facebook called Max Dino Support Group. Yeah. And that will help you identify what kind of dinoflagellate you have, because there's 4 or 5, well, there's thousands, but there are 4 or 5 main categories that you want to know how to deal with. Some of them respond to temperature increases, some of them respond to UV, some don't. So you need to figure out which one it is and then work out your plan of attack based on that.
And BRS showed recently that copepods eat it.
Yeah, there you go. And just adding copepods is... Yeah, because worst case scenario, your fish get a bit of food.
If you think about what you just said, you said everyone seems to get it these days. It's because before everyone was using live rock, which came with copepods. So that's why you didn't used to get it. Where'd you get it now?
Maybe there's probably all sorts of other chemistry things going on aside from that. And it's not like if you put copepods in, it'll cure your dinos. But it's definitely it's worth doing because putting copepods in is good anyway. So
yeah,
but yeah. Do you think this is a good question actually? Do you think we should prepare for power cuts this winter? If so, can you buy a leisure battery? So you've got presumably a decent battery backup system.
Well, everything is on the Vortex battery backups, which are meant to last for 48 hours. And
Have you got a generator or anything?
I have access to it. I don't have it here. I have access if I need one.
Okay.
It's the question is obviously about power cuts this winter, and is that because of the if you think about it, people could be using less energy this winter because they won't be able to afford it. So
well, but Russia going crazier and crazier by the day, and they've just cut off the gas supply. So I don't know if that affects the UK, to be fair, but nonetheless, there's going to be there are talks that there'll be power cuts because of what's going on, all the things that are going on. So they're more likely to
go
be
buy a
cuts.
generator. Then I'm gonna write that down now, because if I don't want access to one, I want one.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a generator that I used last year. I need to do an oil change, because if you just leave oil sat in a generator for ages, apparently it's not good for it. But yeah, so I have Vortex for my main tank, the battery backup. Sorry.
Yeah.
My other tanks, I don't have anything, so they're stuffed.
I can't even. You can't even imagine that we're having to talk about this, can you? If you think about it, it's
we don't get power in America. In parts of America, they get long power cuts and quite regularly, fairly often, to be fair, from what I can make out. Over here, I can think of one power cut in the last 5 years.
Yeah, and I bet it was like an hour.
If that, 10 minutes normally. Normally, it's like the power goes out and it's like, oh, what's going on? You look at your neighbours, their lights are off. And by the time you've looked at your next neighbour, it's coming back on.
Yeah. There was a power cut here, which actually around Christmas time, I was in Australia at the time, and it lasted a week. It was when it was really, really cold. There was like thick. Do you remember the year when there was like really deep snow? Yeah. And there was, so I think it was like the next road of mine had no power for, I think it was 5 days over Christmas. And my house is obviously one road across, and we didn't get the power cut. Now imagine I got a 1,000-litre tank full of SPS corals, and I'm on the other side of the world with no generator for 5 days. It's like, what could I have done?
So this is I'll share the generator that I got. It's how much was it? 200 quid? I think this was 190 quid. And
is it big enough for what I need though?
Not for you.
Yeah.
This is a hobbyist grade generator, so it's probably that big. It's probably a foot long, maybe a little bit longer, and it will run. It ran almost everything on my tank. I started just with the power heads, and then I was like, let's see if it will run the heater.
Yeah. And
then I was like, let's see if it'll run the lights and the dosing pump, and I got pretty much everything going on it, and it was for a good few hours.
Yeah.
And it didn't run out of fuel. But they're well worth having. Obviously, if you're not at home and you've got a power cut, you need to have something like a battery backup that kicks on automatically.
Yeah.
I was looking at, you can get solar generators. So it's just basically a big lithium battery, but you charge it with solar panels, or you can just charge it from your house.
Yeah.
But I don't know, they're very expensive. And a 200 quid generator, as long as you're at home, as long as you can get home within a couple of hours.
Yeah. Plus, there's no sun in the winter.
No,
not in England.
But yeah, so I think it's well worth having. Depends how much money you've got invested. If you've just got a Fujifilm Evo and you've not upgraded any equipment, you've got a couple of frags of GSP and a couple of clownfish, are you going to spend the same amount of money again on a generator?
Yeah, I know. Probably
not, because the risk is quite low. If you know that it's going to happen, then you're more likely to. But the risk of a power cut is pretty low for any length of time. Yeah. But if you've got, so I decided with my tank, after this was, I don't know, a year or two ago, I'd never had a generator, and I thought, you know, I've got so much, tens of thousands of pounds invested in it, that it's crazy not to have one. So sliding scale for me.
True. It's even crazier for me not to have one then, isn't it?
Very much so. And so lots of shops have big generators, proper big generators as well. Do you leave the pump on at the same time as lights in your Refugium? I don't have a pump for the Refugium. I've seen lots of people doing that, because BRS showed like swirling, and Reef, what's the guy, Jake Adams, Reef Builders did that as well, with this cool like barrel turning thing.
Yeah.
I don't bother with that personally. I run my return pumps relatively high, about 70%, and they're big-ish power heads, so it gets enough flow, but not a lot. But it gets enough flow to do the job. So I don't bother with it. I think it's overkill, but it doesn't do any harm. and it stops crud selling. You're smirking, Ryan.
No, I just like Les's new comment. That's what I realized. If ever I had an absolute emergency, I would be like, right, I'll go on YouTube. Someone bring me a generator.
Yeah,
that's what's nice about the community, because I'm sure that if I did that, someone would. If I went,
someone would be like, mate, I've got a power cut as well. You can start off.
yeah, but usually there's not power cuts in the same area, in the same places, is there? So, I'll let you rich.
Yeah, I'll drive.
Elder Dragons just sent you some money.
Thank you very much. Pros: how do you manage Coraline? As in, you don't want Coraline, get an urchin, blue tuxedo urchin. But most people do want it. Is that what you mean? How do you manage Coraline? Do you manage Coraline? I don't. I just have urchins. So.
No, I don't even have urchins. I just let it grow. But today, it's funny that question came in, because today was the first time that has become an issue. We all know that I don't clean my power head so much, and I had an I had an MP40 turned off, and then today I turned it on and it wouldn't turn because the Coraline algae had basically cemented it in place.
Wow. So
do you know what I did? Did I get out and clean it? No. I just turned it off, turn it back on, turn it off, turn it back on, and then it cleared out. That's actually true.
It's basically like putting if your check engine light comes on your car, you put a black sticker over it so you can't see it. That's what you've done.
It was because the fan was moving, but it wasn't quite moving. So I was like, oh, if I just do this, I'm sure it'll clear it, and it did. Because it can't. Like, it'd only been off for like 2 days. So how much algae growth could there have been? But I do need to clean it.
Yeah, you do. That's a job for it. It's MP40s. Switch out the wet sides.
Yeah, I know.
It's so easy.
I know.
But it's that sort of job that is a pain in the backside, and it's like you could do it once a month. Easy, doesn't take long, 5 minutes.
Once a month. I do it once every 2 years is what I do. If that
once every couple of months, and it's not that hard. But when you've got 1,000 jobs like that, it's like, I've got to clean the skimmer cup, and I've got to change the rower foss, and I need to change the carb, and I need to pull out Refugium algae.
I take off the little guard. There's like the guard on them. I take the guard off just for 5 minutes, and then let the fish get in there. They eat all the algae, and then put the guard back on. Job done. Obviously, it doesn't deal with the Coraline, but
no, I completely strip my MP40s apart. So I take the guard off, I take the propeller out, and then I
come do mine.
But I do that because I had rusting MP40s, so now I just check them every few months just to make sure they're not going rusty. Yeah, because it happens like the wet sides can rust. Doesn't happen that often, but it's worth looking out for.
I'm assuming Bubbly Reefer is laughing at what I do.
Hang on, I'm scrolling down. Yeah, because you don't clean your pumps.
Yeah. Oh yeah, as I even had Nios send me a message once. Because I put their protein skimmer, a picture of their protein skimmer, and they went, "Yeah, we probably wouldn't advise you do that."
That's filthy.
It's like one of my proudest moments in reefing, the fact that the whole cone of the protein skim was covered in Coraline algae.
Yeah. Okay. There's people talking about, or James talking about a UPS. I don't like them. They're massive, and that's just the thing.
Backups.
It's different, but it's not as good. And but the thing is this is. If you haven't got a Vortec power head or return pump, then you need to think about other things. But that's why it's so good to have the Vortex, because you can just plug in the you just get a cable, can't go wrong. That's it.
Yeah,
really easy. Whereas these are a little bit more fiddly. So I don't know. Although I don't have Vortex stuff on my water box, so maybe I should do it. Ozone. Do you use ozone?
No.
I'd love to, but I don't.
I like to keep things simple. That sounds complicated.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I know you got to put it's got like a generator or something. See, I'm talking about saying I don't know now, and I know you can put too much in there, I believe, but
so I've been researching this for ages now, and I keep thinking about it. But it's one of the things that puts me off is because it affects ORP, and you're supposed to ideally you have the setup so when your ORP gets to X level, you turn the ozone on, and then when it drops to Y level, you turn it off. And so really, you don't have to do it that way, but that's the better way to do it, is my understanding. And so in order to do that, I need an ORP probe. And in order to get an ORP probe, you can just buy a cheapo one from China or whatever. But really, it would be better to have like an Apex or whatever.
Yeah, there's one on the GHL.
do I want to spend £1,000 on an aquarium computer and have another plug and another thing to think about? Not really.
Well, if
I'd
you want
like
a
to do it.
GHL, I've got one here that I'm not using, so you let me know. I'll do
Okay.
it for a really, really good price of full price.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't get on with GHL. I just don't like the software. So
The software is complex.
the BRS always say with sorry.
I was gonna say, once you know what, it's the same as anything. Once you know what you're doing, it's okay. But it's the setting up process which is a bit more complicated.
But even then, I worked with it for 9 months, and I tried to get used to it, and just there were so many issues with it. It was so clunky. I hated it. The setup was the worst by a long way.
What were you trying to do?
Just look at my bloody results, my alkalinity results. Just tell me the result. But then the thing is, since I've switched to Refactory, I've been spoiled. Their app is just so good. And now anytime I look at any other app, like I was trying to set up my I messed up, I accidentally changed the lighting schedule on my AI lights.
Oh yeah.
I didn't mean to, and I couldn't undo it. And the app's rubbish. It's just clunky and awkward. And the Refactory app is just a couple of sliders. It's just easy. So I don't know.
I haven't used the AI app in years, so I don't even remember.
No, so, this is my first time, but
the Mobius one is the one I use for all the ecotech stuff, which is all right.
It's okay, but I don't know. I'm not a massive fan of Mobius. I think it's got potential, but at the moment it feels like it's in the early stages. I think they did a video about it actually, and I was going to make a video called "This is why Mobius is a big deal," because there was it was like this little, I can't remember what channel it was on, but it's not a video that you would have seen unless you really want to know. Yeah. It was like a 10-minute speech as part of an hour-long live stream on some random channel, and they were talking about it's not just going to be like Bluetooth like it is at the moment. It's going to be proper. It's going to be a computer controller, basically an aquarium controller.
Yeah. Well,
so the same as like Neptune and
but like remote.
I think so. It was a year ago I watched this. So I don't know if they're still planning on that. I guess they are. But when it gets really good, I'll be interested. Until then, it's fine. And most of the stuff is set and forget anyway. I only use it for my power heads. Yeah, but I can't even figure out how to put feed mode on my MP40s on Mobius. I spent 10 minutes trying to find it the other day. Well, I don't normally, but now when my copper band was struggling to go for food, I was like, you know what? I want to turn my pumps off. So I ended up just turning them off. But
we should do a video on the thing on not a video, like a chat. You just give me the idea of the things that you think you're going to use but never actually use. Like feed mode is one of those things which like everyone has feed mode for their every power head has feed mode, but who actually uses it? Some people in the chat will go, yeah, I use it, but I have never used feed mode ever because I can't bother to press a button. I'd rather just put the food in.
On my main tank, I don't use it because the food never goes down the overflow. It just goes all over the place, and the fish get it.
Yeah.
So there's no problem. There's no reason not to. But there, when I had my water box, because it's quite a small tank, I used to put food in, and it would immediately go down the overflow. So I used it all the time for that. But now I've moved my power heads around a bit more, so that doesn't happen. But there are times when feed mode is good, but for the most part, I really like feed mode on a return pump because it's often you want to turn them off whilst you, I don't know, mess around with the piping.
I got another idea as well for that chat. Red Sea have a like a turning device on their skimmer, which you look at and you go, that's brilliant because you can turn it and it will.
It's really
you turn it and it puts all the skimmate back into the tank.
I've always wondered that because you can get self-cleaning heads for my Deltec, and it's like, what does it do with it though?
No, okay. So how it works the Deltec one would work because it does it like every hour. So it's just cleaning off a really, really fine film. But the Red Sea one, people just once a week they just turn it. It just goes.
Oh, it just goes plop.
Just go. So that's what I did. I think you're supposed to turn it every day, but are you going to turn it? That? Yes, that's the thing. So it is a good idea, and it does work if you use it properly. But the reality is, like feed mode, I wouldn't use it properly.
But that's a big thing with using stuff properly is usually if you've got a problem with a product, an aquarium product, whether it's dosing, supplementation, or whatever it is, or an actual piece of equipment, if you've got a problem with it, it's often down to you using it wrong.
Yes.
But with that as an example, I think that's fair enough because who's going to if using it right means using it every day, turning it every day, no one's going to do that. So
Yeah.
I think it's probably more design than design problem than a reefer problem, and lots of well, Bubbly Reef hates Mobius as well. I think it's got potential. I like the sound of it, but to be fair, with most apps, I don't really care. The Refactory one is really good, and I like it. And anytime you want to play around with something, it's easy.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to use most apps. So my Kessel app isn't very good.
Yeah.
But I don't care because I spend a bit of time setting it up. For the first couple of weeks, I adjust it, make it a little bit bluer, make it a little bit whiter, get it to get the ramping right and all this sort of stuff. And then after that, I don't touch it. So I don't really care that the app is no good. It's
I totally agree. It's I use Mobius just to change the setting of the lights to blue, like bluer if people want to see that in the coral farm. And occasionally some of the lights have lost connection. And all I do, just because I have the fuses that on the now I understand why it would be frustrating if you didn't have access to your fuses or the plug sockets. But all I do is turn the fuse off, turn the fuse back on, and then they reconnect automatically. Job done.
Okay.
So
that's one. Go on.
No, I was going to say, for me, it's not an issue. But if your plugs are behind the tank, I understand why that would be frustrating because you can't get in there to turn them on and off easily.
That's one thing I do use the app for. So the Refactory, and this sounds like an advert now because I keep talking about Refactory, but the Refactory app for the lights, it's got one mode called timer mode. And you set it so for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour, however long you want, it will change the lights to whatever these settings you have in the timer mode. So I have a timer mode, so it's 5 minutes of 100% blues. So if ever I want to take photos or like someone comes around and I want to show them stuff, I'll be like timer bang, and then you don't have to remember to change it back. It's so good.
How come I've never been privileged enough to see 5-minute blue mode?
You have. I used it when you came around. Yeah.
You're just saying that. You're just hoping I won't remember.
Well, you don't, so I've won.
No, you're right. I don't.
And so James has asked if I've tried the Refactory ICP test. I have. Potentially, that's going to be the video this week. It's not massively exciting. It's just an ICP test at the end of the day, but it's got cool integration into the app, and it's cheap. So if you like that, then it's good. But it's hard to go on.
I'm not sure how I feel about the fact you just skipped over the Prestige Reef as being so funny tonight comment. You just casually just stroll over it.
Who said that? Someone's been drinking. Where's that?
She says, I assume Bubbly Reef is a lady because it says the fangirling in the chat is real tonight. So
yeah.
But,
there you go. You got a fan. But there we go.
Well,
but yeah,
I've got a fan. Good, one fan. That's nice.
How many blue tuxedo urchins would you put in so I have a 4x2x2. I have one.
I would put 0 in there. 0.
Why? Oh yeah, because you don't like them moving your frags.
Yeah, urchins are a pain. I like the coralline algae, and it slows. Well, sometimes it just completely eradicates it. Does it not eradicate yours?
Coralline, yeah, like 99%, 95%.
Yeah, but you don't notice because your tank's covered in corals, where most people want coralline before they get corals, or they want it to fill the gaps in.
So the tank. Oh yeah, same story here actually, because my water box doesn't have. I've got a tuxedo urchin in there as well.
Yeah,
but then I don't have much coralline, but it's just a frag rack with a load of rock below it. So same story. But no, if you want coralline, don't get an urchin.
There is only one reason I would get an urchin, and that's for turf algae. Turf algae, you put an urchin in, brilliant. Best thing you can get for it. And a lot of people do have turf algae now that they're using the Carib Sea rocks and the new rocks.
Oh really? Leeches,
yeah, it seems to be something to do with man-made rocks. That turf algae is more of a thing now than ever before, but urchins get rid of it.
Yeah, I love urchins. They're just fantastic. They are the best. If you don't have a tank big enough for a tang or a fox face, they are the best algae eating cleanup crew you can have. Fact. But yeah, if you've got any questions about the ICP test, let me know. But I'll do a video on it probably this week. It's it's got some cool integration features into the app. Maybe this is a nightmare.
I know, Jamie. I know. I've had that conversation with Jamie already. He comes to the farm sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. But again, it'll get better. I'm sure of it. It's just who knows. But Refactory, why can't they make a return button? Yeah, like go back to the homepage, because when you press back on my phone, it exits the app. I do find that irritating. It's minor irritation, but nonetheless. It's the app integration I'm looking forward to seeing when my results come in. Yeah, it tells you in the app straight away what I'll go in the video, but it tells you what whether it's been posted, received, tested, all that sort of stuff. And it's easier. I've used before ATI, and the website's a bit clunky. It doesn't really matter because all you want is the data. But using it's a little bit fiddly, and it's in German, so you have to make it translate into English. And then the
Really?
Triton one is but it translates easily. You're just pressing the button top corner of the screen, change to English, and it does.
Yeah.
But it's all a little bit fiddly, and the layout isn't very good. The Triton one as well, I tried, and I'm not mad keen on it. It's fine, and they all give you data at the end of the day, which is what you want.
Yeah.
But the only way. Yeah, okay, I've not used that yet. What's that one?
The reason I like it is because they say it's probably similar to Triton. You go, they've got all their products, so boron and manganese and molybdenum. They go add 15 mils of molybdenum, and you're like, okay, there you go. I'd never be able to work that out myself, if you see what I mean.
For sure. And you don't have to worry about, hang on, is Triton molybdenum the same as ATI molybdenum, or is it diluted or whatever? It's just like,
it's the concentration is exactly what they say it is.
Yeah, that is good. But I don't use ITPs for that purpose. As a general rule, I'm not interested in tweaking everything. There'll be a couple of things like I want to know if my iodine and maybe my manganese is low, but I'm not going to start playing with boron and barium and all these sorts of things, vanadium and whatever.
Yeah,
but some people do. So
the only reason I do it is for goniopora. They do seem to care if they're low on. It's either it's manganese or molybdenum, one of the two. I think it's molybdenum as well. They do seem to make a difference if you have very low levels of it.
Best place to buy LPS cards. Website. Oh, best place to buy them. I can't think of any online. There's some really good local fish shops, but there's no good.
I strongly advise you go to all of them.
Prestigereef.co.uk, of course, is the best place for LPS.
Oh, is it? Why didn't you come buy some from me then?
I have. I bought a couple of torches off you.
That is true. Actually, that is true.
But other websites, I said the same. I was going to say that. This is what you asked me last week. Why I buy from Ultimate Reef, but I don't buy from other websites online.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't know. And I thought about that. And I'm going to email these pictures to myself and then pull them up on the screen so I can show you why. Because I thought about it and I realised something that I think is worth mentioning. So I've been looking for a while for a watermelon chalice.
Yes. Yeah.
And I asked someone, I posted a wanted advert on Ultimate Reef and I said, I'm after a watermelon chalice. Someone replied and said, I've got one. And then when they eventually sent me a picture of it, it looked different to what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think that's a watermelon chalice. Or if it is, it's not the watermelon chalice I was thinking.
Yeah.
So I said, no, I'll leave it. Thanks anyway. It might have been a bad photo. Who knows? But
have you got the picture?
Not that picture, no. But what I do have is so I found that was ages ago, and a couple of weeks ago I found one. In fact, I found two on Ultimate Reef, and this demonstrates what I'm saying absolutely perfectly. So, excuse me. So this is the first one, and I'm not criticizing Spartacus for your photography, but this photo, I looked at that and I was like, is that what I want? I was like, you can see it's got the green rim, and I would say
yes.
I think it's purple, so I think that's what it is. And I was like, I don't know, maybe that's it, maybe it's not. I was like, and I left it because I was going to. He's in Oxford. I drove 6 hours on Friday night to pick up a light, so that's how far I'm prepared to drive. I would have gone to this guy to get it.
Yeah.
But then I found this one, and I was like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what. And so with this, they were based on the same sales thread, and I was like, this is exactly what I'm after. And so the other photo is this one. Come back up. And it was like, is that it? And I think that probably is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But I could say with 100% confidence that this definitely was. And I went to pick up it was closer to me as well. But that was it. And that made me realize. Yeah, I bought it. Yeah.
Because I wanted a piece. I told you.
So it cost me, how much did it cost me? About 30 quid, maybe 20 quid. You have it for 400 quid.
Oh, how do you know my exact markup?
I know, yeah. When it's tiny, it's the size of a pound coin. But when it's grown out, I'll frag a bit for you. But the thing that made me realise with that was, a load of stuff sold on eBay. Exciting. But the thing that made me realise was that there are Ultimate Reef is like the reason I buy on Ultimate Reef. There's a number of reasons. Firstly, stuff is generally cheaper, bigger frags, more settled, been in a reef tank longer, all that sort of stuff. But the other thing is Ultimate Reef. Like if I go onto your website or to Signature Frags, they're the main two in the country. I'm getting one seller. Whereas if I go on Ultimate Reef, it's like a marketplace of 100 sellers. And some of them I wouldn't buy off for the same reasons I wouldn't buy from the website I got that ACAM that was supposed to be pink and wasn't. So there are some vendors like that. The first photo I showed you, I didn't buy that because I wasn't sure. And then the next person came along, and it's like having suddenly you've got access to 100 different vendors. The downside is if I go onto your website, there's 100 corals there, 200 corals. So you've got a ton of variety. Whereas with these, you might have 100 vendors, but there are 100 vendors who are selling Monty or exactly one or two corals. And so you've got to look all the time. And Tropic Thunder. And you've got to log in every day and all this. And so it's a lot more work. But that's why that's the thing that, and even that second photo actually that I showed you doesn't do that coral justice. It's not actually as good a photo as it should be, but it was good enough to make me go, that's what I want. So that's a big thing with Ultimate Reef. There's a variety of vendors.
Oh, so I was reading saying in the comments. Yeah, I did see that. A load of people were saying they'll come and clean my fish tanks for me. Trust me, if you want to come clean my fish tank for work experience, I absolutely accept. So I'll get a deck chair and get a cocktail, and you can enjoy yourselves.
Oh, right. The fangirling wasn't from you.
No, people were saying they'll come and clean the MP40s for me.
Oh yeah, good. Oh yeah, Blue Tuxedo might clean your MP40. Yeah,
that's actually what I put in there. I put an urchin in there with it today.
Oh really? Yeah,
but
that's just put it in. Get another wet side.
No,
swap it over and put the spare one in citric acid for a couple of hours.
I don't have the time.
Don't have the time.
I've got a lot of other things that are of interest for me to do. Like spend time not watching your videos, but watching your comment section.
I know, yeah. Go to the cafe and that sort of stuff, basically.
True, yes.
But yeah, so answering the question seriously, Signature Frags and Prestige Reef are the best places, apart from Ultimate Reef.
There was one called Fraggle Reef, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a shed seller.
Whoa. There's nothing wrong with shed sellers. There's nothing wrong with shed sellers. I'm a garage seller. That's like the next level up.
No, okay, fair enough.
I take that with great offence.
To be fair, it's better. It's more professional than I thought. I thought Fraggle Reef was literally a one frag tank.
There's no corals.
Oh yeah, there's not.
That's what I realized that today. There's no corals on the whole website. They used to have loads of stuff. So I just wondered. I wondered if you knew where they'd gone, but obviously not.
No, I haven't heard. I did hear the other day. I told you, didn't I, that Kraken have been bought out by Finest Aquatics.
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised to hear that.
That must have been an expensive purchase because Kraken have got probably the biggest website or second biggest website for our hobby in the country.
Do they? Oh yeah, because they sell. When I was there, they've got a whole like a warehouse section. I think I didn't go in it, but they've got another section, not just the shop.
Yeah. The whole
for dry goods. Yeah,
exactly right. Yeah. So that must have cost them a fortune, and I wonder if that's where they're going to stop or if they're going to take over the world.
Well, if anyone wants to buy Prestige Reef, you just let me know.
I know. Yeah. If you want to buy Reef Talk as well.
Yeah, true. We come as a pair.
Exactly. Yeah. It costs you £1 million. Do
you know what? This is actually true. I genuinely considered buying. I wouldn't even know how to do it or whatever. Buying Aaron's aquarium.
Really? Oh, what, the shop?
No. His like the YouTube channel and his website and stuff like that. Because he will have people that don't know who I am. So why wouldn't I? If you see what I mean. If it depends, like it was never going to happen, and Mike would never sell it because obviously, even now, he's still getting money from it. But it was just
he won't be getting much.
I don't know, actually, if I'm honest.
I do know because I snoop. There's a website called Social Blade. Have you heard of Social Blade?
Yeah, I have seen it. Yeah, they give you a pretty wide thing, don't they? They're like,
they do.
They might be earning £1, or they might be earning 500. It's like,
and it's inaccurate because I went on there and it gave a bracket of, I think for me it said two to £800 a month, and I was like, it's not in that bracket.
oh yeah.
Um,
Oh, look at you, Mister. This way. You just told everyone it's definitely not going to be £2, is it?
200 to 800.
Oh, I thought you said £2 to £800.
No. But I don't think he'll be earning much money at all. In fact, I'm going to share, because I'll be able to have a rough guess actually based on this. So
it's funny because while you're googling him, I'm googling you.
That's hilarious. He's still gaining subscribers. That's crazy.
I know. I've seen it. It's crazy.
Because most channels, when they stop uploading, they keep going for a bit and then they plateau and then they lose subs. But that shows how good the channel was, to be fair. And this estimated monthly earnings £9 to £100, £6 to £100 a month. That's wrong. No way. 200 subscribers a month. That's huge for a channel that hasn't uploaded for 2 years. Anyway, let's have a look and see monthly views. So subs doesn't matter. It's nothing. You can have one subscriber and earn no money, or have a million subscribers and earn no money.
But this is so monthly views.
He gets 45. He gets 45,000 views a month,
which is probably more than me.
I'll tell you. No, it's not. I'll tell you what I got in the last 28 days. 28 days, 220,000 views. Do you know what?
I reckon mine like 70 or something. It's probably not very much. I didn't upload a lot last month, so.
Okay, but given he hasn't uploaded anything for years, and I upload every week all the time, I'm only 20. I'm only getting 4 times as many views. That's not that much. So I think that will probably. But anyway, back to the point. I think that'll probably be earning him something like 200 quid a month.
Well, that's still great every month for not doing anything.
It's not bad at all. A nice little side hustle.
Yeah.
But when he was running it fully, he would, bearing in mind his channel was bigger than me. Yeah. In theory, he should have been earning more than me.
I think people earn more now than they used to.
You reckon?
I definitely think that the amount that each view is worth is more. Has gone up, I think.
I've not checked, because you get statistics on click-through rate, don't you? Oh, sorry, on what's it called? Pounds per view, basically.
So what everyone's seeing at the moment is a proper YouTuber who knows about pounds per view and views and subscribers, and then you have me on the other hand, who's not looked at any of this ever.
But I'm a YouTube now, so actually, this is a good point. So this is the RPM, and I don't actually know what it is, but I think that's what you get paid per 1,000 views.
Yeah,
it might be 2,000. I can't remember what it is. But anyway, for the lifetime of my channel, it's £3.38, whatever that is. For the last 28 days, it's £4.11.
So
in fact, for the last 3 months, it's £4.14, and the last year, it's over £4. So it's definitely gone up in the last year, quite significantly. To be fair,
it also fluctuates throughout the year. Sometimes it's like you definitely earn more around like Christmas time, I think, and then it drops off in the summer
because people are buying and stuff.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Do you know what? I thought I'd always assumed that was down to getting more views, but I bet you get.
It's because people it's more for advertising, I think.
Yeah.
I see what you mean, that people are more interested in the hobby in the winter, but I think it's YouTube charges more for advertising around Christmas.
Yeah.
Which what I don't understand is why when I watch YouTube, I see like the same five adverts over and over again. There must be thousands of adverts.
I know,
but they show me the same 5 ones.
So this comes up from time to time. What happened to Michael Aarons? Did he go bankrupt? Oh, the silence.
Oh, you asking me?
Yeah.
I've
just checked the individual insolvency register, by the way. So this, if you can check anybody, because I've seen this question come up a few times, and it's like, no, he didn't get made bankrupt. But to prove it, so here we go.
Yeah.
This is there's a register of anyone who's been made bankrupt in England and Wales. You can check anytime anyone. It keeps history for years.
How do you know all this?
Because I was a solicitor, and so you need to make sure if you're suing someone, you've got to make sure they're worth suing. So he is not Michael Aarons. That is his name. That's the correct spelling. He is not bankrupt. He was not bankrupt last time I checked, which was probably 3 years ago when he stopped uploading videos. He is not bankrupt today. He's never been made bankrupt.
I like how you checked 3 years ago as well.
But because people were commenting, and I was like, no, that's not what happened, because it's speculation, and it's the sort of thing so someone will say, I thought he went bankrupt, and I bet that's because you've heard it elsewhere. And it's because that's like I'd do that. I'd be like, I heard you went bankrupt. And if 10 people say it happened.
So. Look, bloody hell, Queen of Reef, she must be rolling in it. Although no, she just said hers is $5.20, but is that in pounds?
That's dollars.
That must be in dollars, whereas yours is in pounds, isn't it?
So let's do 5.12 USD in GBP.
Queen of Reef pops in every week now, doesn't she? She's she's like a number
446
one commenter.
So she is better than me. 446, that is in pounds sterling. So that's better.
She's better than you.
What are you doing? What are you doing, Stephanie?
So,
but I don't. I'm sure there are things you can do to improve that. I never look at improving those sorts of things. I just figure if I make good videos, more people will watch it and I'll get paid more. But I'm sure there are things you can do, like make videos about products, or I don't know. There must be things you can do to improve it. But I can't really be asked for that.
Yeah,
and she's
true. Someone said he wasn't being. Someone said they weren't being funny. About Mike. They just
No. Sorry.
Look, Mike is happy. So I agreed with, and Reef Talk knows this already. I agreed not to talk about Mike so I won't go into anything that happened. All I know is that Mike is happy and he doesn't want to come back, because I asked him if he'd come back. I was up in Manchester the other day. I was going to go meet him, but our schedules didn't fit together. But there's something about being a YouTuber, and you will understand this as well, Alex, and also probably Queen of Reef will understand this as well. Though I don't know how often you upload Queen of Reef. But don't feel bad. I don't know how often. I don't follow Alex's channel, and I barely follow him. There is something about being a YouTuber which gives you a constant pressure. I describe it like being on a treadmill, or like YouTube has your face on a treadmill where you have to constantly put out content. And obviously, there was about 6 months where I didn't put out. I disappeared for 6 months myself, and the freedom I felt in those 6 months, it was so nice not to feel, what am I going to put a video out on next week? What am I going to do that? And Mike obviously got a taste for that and went, this is it. I don't want it anymore, if you see what I mean. And I understand. So that's because I genuinely, I asked him, are you happy? And he said, yeah, I'm happy. I said, would you ever consider coming back? He went, trust me, nothing would make me want to go back to that. He said, I haven't even logged into he hasn't even logged in, which to see how things were going.
He doesn't watch my videos.
He definitely doesn't watch your video. That's two of us that don't watch them. We only watch good videos. So, however, I have logged into your comment section.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Usually to put something stupid. I saw. Do you see the comment where I wrote? Obviously you put a video out saying I'm not making a video this week, and then the next week with your. That's why I saw the Calquasa.
That was the most liked comment.
I know. I said, "Can you make
like 20 likes?"
I said, "Can you?" It was 25 at least when I last looked, because I'm keeping track because I care.
Yeah, there you go. It's funny, I do that. If ever I post a comment on any other channel, it's normally like motorbikes, and I get like 200 comments. I keep going back to it and like, how many have I got? So sad. But two things. Firstly, Blue Oval Neil, I've just realized that's a fast forward reference. I like fast forwards. But yeah, I know you weren't being funny. I'm not saying you were, and I'm not. Even Philip Harrison, who said he went bankrupt, I'm not having a go at you. I'm just saying people say that, and just wanted to put it right. But and what else was I going to say? Oh, Paul, you bought corals off me. They're looking good. Yeah, you can buy those same corals from Prestige Reef, but
It's not that chalice, is it? That watermelon chalice? Because if it is, I want some.
Yeah, imagine. No, it was some laser lemon zoas, which I think you probably still have. And
I do. Yeah.
Utter chaos,
yeah.
Chaos, maybe. No. Anyway, whatever it was, we don't need to talk about that. There was another comment I saw that was every 2 weeks is the way it can be consistent. And do you know what? So you said that like having a 6-month break is manna from heaven.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll get ahead. So I'll have a week where I do a really quick video and I'm like, ooh, I can do a second video now. And then that gives me a week break. It's the most amazing thing in the world. And I'm like, what I always think I should do is if I've got a second video stored up, I should hold on to it. And then if I'm going away on holiday or if I'm ill or whatever, I can use that. But like the prospect of having a week off is just delicious.
Someone
So,
wrote, "Did you get free Asterinas?" Probably.
there probably would have been an Asterina on it, but there's nothing. So actually, someone asked the other week in the comment, it was Shellsmuck asked in the comments, not in the chat, in the comments, why do you both hate Asterina? I don't. I like Asterina. I deliberately introduced them into my water box.
Yeah. No, you didn't. You did not.
100%.
Why?
100%.
So
Because
okay,
they're cleanup crew.
so some Asterinas eat zoas. They sit on top of them and it kills them. And I'm not saying they're your ones, but some do. And the other thing is they become invasive, as you know, because you've got about 10,000 of them.
Yeah, so that's it. Thing. So I don't know if it's a certain type of Asterina or if it's just in certain circumstances, whatever it is. But enough people have reported zoas being eaten by Asterinas for it to be a thing.
Yeah.
You know, there's no scientific evidence of it, but there's
Oh,
enough.
it's definitely a thing. Definitely.
Exactly, completely. It's not just people making it up or misunderstanding or thinking it was your starfish when actually the zoa was melting anyway. That is a fact. I think, but if it's whatever that is, if it's the type of Asterinas, then the type I've got don't eat zoas because I've got in this tank, the water box is zoas, and I've got a ton of zoas in my tank downstairs. They're healthy, they're thriving, they grow like crazy. So it's definitely, that's not a problem. And the only thing that they do that bothers me is they multiply and that you get loads of them. But I do find that they don't now get, they got to the point where they were pissing me off.
Yeah.
And they were,
so you gave them to me instead.
No, well, yeah. And they were covering my sound bed. And I was like, all I could see was like Asterinas. Like, why is my sand mottled grey? And so I got a Harlequin shrimp, but that was, I just wouldn't recommend that. When a Harlequin shrimp runs out of a food source, it is heartbreaking to watch it because they don't move. They sit still and they wait. And then if you go, I got some Asterinas out of my sump and put them next to it. And as soon as you put them in the water, they can sense it and they start moving towards it.
Yeah.
And then they eat it. And then the next day they're sat still for hours on end. And it's like, oh man, that's bad. I hate it.
Lazy, aren't they?
They are lazy. But
I'm going to need you to fill for a second because when a minute ago, you said, "Oh, we'll do an hour." I need to go pee. So I'm going to be very professional.
Right. Okay.
So
fine. Well, I'll carry on. So I'll talk about Asterinas. So Asterinas, as far as I'm concerned, Asterinas are good. I get why people don't necessarily want them, but they're very easy to kill as well. So if you get a frag with Asterinas on it, for a start, you can just flick it off, and it'll come off easily. And you can usually see them, but any dip should deal with Asterinas. So if you don't want them, dip a coral and you'll be fine. But I think they're good. I think they're free cleanup crew. But the reason some people, perhaps including Ryan, and to be fair, Ryan runs a shop, so some people might think bad of him if he had Asterinas. So that's why he's a bit more of a pedantic with them. But also, other people don't like them because it is known that some of them, maybe it's a certain type or whatever, can eat zoas. So that's why I like Asterinas, though, because they're free cleanup crew. Reef Talk has an online store. Not at the moment. This is another thing that I keep saying I'll do, and then I don't do it. But I do plan on doing an online store, and setting up a website. But it'll be it's going to be nothing like Prestige Reef. It'll just be like 30 frags here and there, but they'll be cheap and they'll be large sizes. I've got Utter Chaos, must be honest, its own variant at this point. Mine has spread to Southampton and Poole so far. Good to hear. What else we got? We had some other stuff going on that I wanted to talk about. People were asking questions. The location of your viewers count towards how much you get paid as well. Okay, maybe London is higher or something, for example. I don't really know. I don't look into that. Recognize, you said, what happened to wet dry filters? They were only ever popular because of Tanked. Do you remember Tanked, Ryan? With the wet dry trickle filters, that TV program?
Oh yeah, I remember Tanked. Yeah, it was they weren't great at actually, they made some nice plastic tanks, but they weren't great behind the
best
biology and corals.
No, and the thing with them is that there will be, with a tanked aquarium, you would have had 2 awesome days. The day you buy it and the day you sell it.
It was done for show, those.
Exactly.
Those,
with no thought to maintenance and algae and all this sort of stuff. So
yeah, I remember they did an English phone box full of, I think it was full of damsels or something. I was just like, these are never going to last. It's hard enough having a square box and maintaining that. let alone let alone having one that's all curved. Or the one that I find most interesting, the people that have them in the bowls. Who is doing this? Who has got their roof in a bowl? How are you cleaning all like the curved section?
It's very true. Get a little bit of a sponge filter or whatever, foam or whatever.
Yeah.
But wet dry. So commercial facilities still use wet dry filters.
Yes.
Like Tropic Marine Centre does, but I guess that's because, well, it's just more efficient. It's just I don't know. I never looked into them, but nobody I've ever seen has ever used a wet dry filter. So
No. I did use a canister filter, obviously, when I very first started, but not. It just so you know, it's well unnerving, listening to your voice while I'm peeing, because I could hear.
Oh
I could
dear!
hear you.
Didn't need to
It was
know that.
I was like, this is definitely putting me off. So,
Ryan's touching himself while listening.
Oh, why did you? Last week you said we were a bit close to the line. Sometimes.
No, sorry.
Actually, the only person who will remember this, Bubbly Reefer, was there. Yeah. We kept going after the channel, I didn't
realize it hadn't ended. Yeah.
Yes. So and Bubbly Reefer, I think, noticed it.
Fortunately, it was only like 10 seconds.
Yeah. Trust me, it got juicy after that. I knew someone would ask if I washed my hands. My hands are actually still wet because I knew someone would ask me. Why
are you showing the camera? We can't. We don't believe that.
Well, you can see they're like shiny. Actually, also my trousers are also wet because I just went. I was trying to be quick.
James was down at Abyss Aquatics today. They have harlequin shrimp, pretty little things. They are awesome. They still have that hybrid tank, of course they do. Not selling it anytime soon, no. But I don't. Have they got a price for it yet? Because they weren't. When I saw them, they weren't going to sell it. They wanted to keep it and see how it turned out. I guess if someone came in and went, "I'll give you 20 grand or 10 grand," they might change their mind. But have they actually put a price up yet? I'll be interested to know. How do you get rid of vermitid snails? You drain your tank. You throw it in a tip and smash it. You set fire to anything in your house that has come in within 75 feet of a vermitid snail, and you move to a different country, and then you set up a new tank, and then you get vermitids again, and you go through the same process. So
true.
That there is. I think I have vermitids. I went through a stage of trying to deal with them, bumblebee snails and all this stuff, but none of it really works. And I've actually found now that. I've only got a few that are in places that bother me. I think they're probably hidden under the rocks, a lot of them, where I can't see.
Yeah.
And I just leave them. If they start growing out of a coral, which sometimes they do, I snap it off and take it out and throw it away. Yeah. But vermitids, they're a real pain in the backside to kill because it's hard to find something that eats them. A predator is the way to deal with most pests. And I've just realised this guy's got a gun in the middle of a shop. Looks like he's in like Sainsbury's. I presume that's in America.
He's obviously American.
It's a gun shop in America. Yeah.
So, the vermitids are one of the. I had them in the Red Sea tank. For whatever reason, it's like nothing. I even tried to be clever. So I thought a boxfish might eat them. We were smiling. What popped up there? I didn't see it.
I'd missed this. I would have said something if
while he's away. Tell us something.
I should have watched that.
You got nothing on me anyway. I'm like squeaky clean. Actually,
yeah, right.
Actually not. Maybe not.
Anyway,
what was I saying? Vermitids. So I tried to get a boxfish to eat them, and it didn't, because obviously they got like little teeth. And I even tried to get a jewel puffer fish to eat them, where you I put the jewel puffer in a thing, like smashed up some vermitids, threw them in there with it, not interested. Put it into the tank, decide to eat coral. It's like you just get tired. Did you hear all the gossip while you're being? Yes,
I know. Yeah,
the gossip was mainly about Asteria starfish.
Yeah, indeed. It was boring filling, to be honest. But no price on the tangs last weekend, so it's still the same, I guess. But it's a showfish. People will go in to see that, I bet.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You're not going to travel length of the country to see it, but if you were nearby, you'd be like, "Oh, that's cool."
I agree with what you're saying, but I just there's some fish where I go, yeah, they're worth a lot of money because they're sort of unique. Like you can get some weird regal angels and You should have got the regal angel that you saw before because that was well.
Do you know what? It's funny because I wanted it, and I reckon because I mentioned it a couple of times in the video about the purple tang. and I reckon that someone saw it and bought it off the back of that video.
Possibly,
and I regret
It was
that because
me.
I asked them I asked them a couple of days later. I was like, "Have you still got that Regal Angel?" And they said no. I was like, because it was a perfect size as well. But anyway, and I said, well, look, do you know what? Let me know when you get another one in. And then a month or two passed, and I found Reefkeeper, my local place, got one in instead, so I went there. And I didn't really like the idea of them posting it. I was okay with it because they take great care.
Yeah,
but I would far rather a 20-minute journey and pick it up. So
when you told me that when you sent me the picture of that Regal Angel, and you were like, "Oh, I'm kind of interested in it," I was like, "I need to buy this." I really, really wanted it for myself, and then I was like, "No, I can't do it because you'll be mad if I do." But I promise you, something in my mind went, "We could have that, Ryan, and all we need to do is sacrifice our friendship with Reef Talk." If your earphones run out.
You keep talking. I can't hear you because my headphones have died because it's been at least half an hour since I've had some kind of technical error.
Oh, but so you didn't hear what I
said? You said you were going to buy it just to spite me, I think.
No, not to spite you. As I said, something in my head went, "We could have that, Ryan, but we will have to upset Reef Talk."
Yeah.
And then you didn't even buy it, so I couldn't have it.
I did try to buy it. And then I tried to buy the what's it called? The capture bred one. The capture bred one from Reefkeeper, but it died. So, but I was really pleased with myself for that because I always say on videos, just like if you see a fish in a shop and it's a bit finicky, go and have a look at it, ask how long it's been in, watch it feeding, walk away, go back another week, back another month.
Don't tell Ryan about it because he might buy it.
Yeah, exactly. Go back a month later, and that's exactly what I did. I went in, I saw it. Actually, I'd asked them to get it in. I'd seen a couple that I'd walked away from. And this one I said, I'm going to reserve it and I'll come back next week. Because basically I wanted it to settle, make sure it was eating okay. And it died 2 days after I reserved it. So I did the right thing. Because if I'd have bought it probably would have done. There's a chance it might have preferred being in a reef tank, to be fair. But that's exactly, with a finicky fish, that's exactly what I tried to do. And if it went, because although I'd reserved it, there's every chance that someone who wasn't in the shop that day would have gone in the next day and someone would have bought it and they wouldn't have known it was reserved or whatever. They wouldn't have seen the reserve sign. So there's no guarantee. And I was like, if that happens, it happens. But I was prepared to lose out on it. I was like, there's plenty more fish in the sea, so it doesn't matter. I'd rather get it right.
Someone's written, "Why would you buy a freak fish when there's so many gorgeous ones about?" Because there's so many gorgeous ones about. It's as simple. It's the same as it's the same. Yeah. Well, like the Miss Bar Regal Angel or something.
Oh, yes.
It's the same as anything. Why does someone want? Why is I think the most expensive thing per weight in the entire world is a stamp. So what makes that stamp worth like $40 million dollars or whatever it is? Like who's realistically going to pay $40 million for that stamp? But someone may, if they really, really like stamps and they've got $500 million.
There are coins as well, aren't there, that come out of the mint and they have defects. So they have like the head facing the wrong way or whatever. And that's But the to be fair,
that's what happened with you at birth, wasn't it?
I've got a weird birthmark actually. This got me. I sent in a picture of it. Do you remember Mr. Hankey, the Christmas poo from South Park? I dressed this up as Mr. Hankey, and I sent it. This is when I was at uni. I put a little Santa hat on it and a howdy ho, a little arm and some eyeballs. Took a photo, sent it into FHM, and they printed it and sent me a bottle of whiskey.
Did they?
Yeah,
that's so good.
It's hilarious. But the Miss Bar, I thought he was really cool. I thought that was, and I think there's a chance that they would have lost their Miss Bar later in life, so they would have looked normal later anyway. Yeah. But I just thought they looked really cool. So I thought it looked different and good different, not like, because some freakish stuff looks bad different, but this looked good different, didn't it?
Yeah. There's some tangs which there's some. Look, don't get me wrong. There's some nice tri-colour tangs, but there's one that's like white and all. And I'm not talking. It's an acanthus tang. Right. So I'm not talking about the one that Polo Reef has.
No, that's nice. But there's some like mottled. They just look like.
Yeah, it's like a mottled white and grey acanthus tang. Just so everyone knows, I'm not ignoring the Pablo discussion because people keep saying people keep commenting about Pablo but. But I'm not ignoring it. It's just Reef Talk is in he's in charge of the comments, so he reads what he wants.
And this is, and I'm in charge of the comments, but it doesn't mean I see them all, and I'm so bad at it. This is another thing that I say this quite often. Sorry, I missed your comment. And people must watch it and think, come on, how hard is it to? Because whilst he's talking, just look, and I'll see like 5 comments in a row, and then I'll miss a 6th one.
Yeah,
like,
and there's 2 of us reading at the moment, and we still there was a comment at the very beginning which I wrote down, which was something about copper bands and how someone's bought a copper band, it's not eating the Aptasia, and we both just brushed over it. I only remember because I wrote it down. But there's nothing you can do to make it eat Aptasia. It's as simple as that. They eat what they want. And
this is a comment about the purple yellow tang hybrid. And so I said in the video, you wouldn't if you walk past it, you wouldn't look at it twice. Yeah. But it's funny because this is another thing that, like, you could argue. Who said that it was whoever said it was why buy something like that? With this, it's the sort of thing that if no one told you what it was, you'd walk past and go, a funny looking yellow tang, which is a bit darker than normal. Don't like that. But as soon as someone says there's only 12 of those ever been bred, and they'll probably never been bred again. Well, actually, that may or may not be the case, but likely that they'll never be bred again, and it's £10,000. It's like, oh, really?
Yeah, that's
something about it.
That's good marketing, I think.
It is.
The fact that they're never going to be bred again. It's like to me, that seems like why would, if you've got a fish which you're selling for thousands of pounds, why would you not want to do it again?
Well, so they didn't say why, but it might be that the parents died.
Yeah, but they're
But anyway, so it's quite a skill breeding those fish. So the chance that it's not like you or I could do it. Someone else. I
used to have a scopas and a yellow tang that used to spawn in the tank as well, in my 1,000-litre tank.
Yeah, so but deliberately getting these 2 to do it is not something that's going to happen all the time. And there are people who could do it, and it could happen. And actually, to be fair, if these all sell out and they make a fortune, maybe someone will do it.
Yeah,
but anyway, I guess
Yes, us. We're going to do it.
It's from South Africa, not America. So America, with the guy with the gun.
Oh, so it's even more normal in South Africa, is it? I don't know.
Just as abnormal, I guess. I don't know. But what's your take on bulk reef? Loads of people ask about bulk reef supply. People often, or not people often, but this is a thing. So because I think it's slightly unusual, it stands out for me more. But some people are quite harsh on bulk reef supply. I think they're fantastic.
Why?
I think they're the best thing that's ever happened to the hobby.
Yes. Well,
certainly in terms of information.
Hands down, they are the best channel. And sure, there is some advertising in it. But you know how I put a video out today and you saw some of my corals? That's just as much advertising.
This is true. But they don't hide it. You know they're a shop. You know they're selling you stuff. So if you watch one of their, like a Thomas video about a product, and you're expecting 100% honest, independent review, you're looking in the wrong place. Same for anybody who's trying to sell you something. But if you're looking at it, I've said this 1,000 times, I'm bored of saying it now. But if you're thinking, I want to buy a Bubble Mega skimmer, I don't know, there's no information about it, where can I see what it looks like? Watch one of those videos. He'll probably tell you a couple of things you wouldn't have known otherwise, and you'll get to look around it. So bumblebee snails will eat vermitids. We'll move on.
No, they won't. No. I ordered 70.
Yeah.
They do not eat. I can assure you. Everyone thinks they do, but they don't.
I bet that's the sort of thing that it is possible that they do it, but the reality is that they don't. It's like an Aptasia eating filefish, only they're much more likely to eat Aptasia than a bumblebee is to eat vermitids. An Aptasia eating filefish can eat Aptasia, but often as often as not, it chooses not to. So I wouldn't be surprised if a bumblebee snail can eat vermitids, but it chooses not to because it's quite a difficult meal and it gets scraps of food elsewhere anyway. And with Aptasia eating filefish, you get lots of people saying they have success. With bumblebee snails, you get very few people saying. Oh,
this is what happens. Someone in the comment section say, they do eat it. I've got a video of it. But it's just that's true. I just told you something which is a fact. This is exactly what this video is about. So I've just told you something as if it was a fact. Not that it is a fact, if you see what I mean. So I've just said bumblebee snails don't eat vermitids. But someone has just come back going, don't listen to those YouTubers.
But he's not having a pop. He's just saying, look, I just want to share this information I know. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is that's the purpose of this live stream.
Exactly.
So I've just told you my opinion as if it was a fact rather than actual fact. Yes, I know. It seems to be the same two people though. Yeah, I might if I got a little a Pablo teddy or plushie made, I'd make 2 sales.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to abruptly wrap it up now because I've just realised we've had 2 hours, and I did think this was going to be an hour. We were talking before, saying I think it's probably going to be an hour.
Just very quickly, Rev's Devils asked the same question a couple of times about fox corals. Fox corals were put onto a list where they're not collected anymore, which is why you don't see them. I believe that is true. I've never seen many lists, and I was told that a long time ago. So that's why you don't usually see them anymore.
Sorry, you've asked that like 1,000 times, and
I know.
And this is and I'm just saying that I missed comments, and I've missed the same comment 3 times. Amateurs. That's the thing.
Are you aware of the profit that through the tape? Look, Reef Dog wants to leave. He likes to go to bed.
What's Pablo plushie? What does that mean?
A plushie is a teddy, like a teddy bear in America. Okay. So they're basically telling me to get
merch.
You'll buy one too, won't you? You can put it in the background.
I will exchange one for frags. How's that?
Yes, deal. Oh, poor Spy Girl. Look, Spy Girl's just turned up as we're leaving. So anyway.
But yeah, okay, cool. So so a reminder: there's no live stream for the next 2 weeks because we're both on holiday. So
am I coming back in 2 weeks' time?
Who knows? I definitely am.
Yeah, you definitely are. Hopefully, I'll have found myself a nice Spanish lady by then, so I won't. So I'll be busy on a Sunday night.
Okay, well, we don't need to go into what you'll be busy doing. So on that
note, anyway,
thank you everybody for joining, and we will see you again soon. Oh, and hang on 1 second. Please say hi to me. Hi, bye.